everyone. This is 372 Pages We'll Never Get Back. I am Michael J. Nelson, or as the doctor I'm going to go to tomorrow. No big deal. But Michael, I got the paperwork from him. Michael J. J-A-Y. They think my name is J, which, I mean, it's a fair assumption.
I mean, I start
I
rolling.
spoke it out loud, so I didn't, but they asked, like, what is your middle initial or whatever. And well, anyway, we're doing this podcast, and Conor Listoka is here. How are you, Conor?
Great, Mike. It's a big reveal after all these years to just learn that the twist was essentially the same twist as Homer J. Simpson's middle name turned out to be J after 18 years.
Yeah. No, it is not that. But anyway, we're going through Ugly Love,
best-selling Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover.
Colleen Hoover, like Cujo is a piece of garbage compared to this.
Cujo, it gets buried by Coho.
Buried, just absolutely like, I wouldn't pee on you if you were on fire, Cujo.
You reached for a best-selling book, and you came up with Cujo, which I'm guessing 1985. Probably,
Yeah, he's the
bottom third percentile of Stephen
Jaws. Well, I don't know. What's the best-selling book?
The Da Vinci Code. I don't know.
Okay, but that's 15 to 20 years ago, right?
Murder in Christmas River. Yeah, that's true. Our world stopped at some point in time.
Exactly. Mine stopped long before yours did. I just wanted to quickly, before we get into, we're going to dive into Ugly Love. We're going to get you up to date on where we are in the story. Oh my God. I don't know how we'll convey the story. We'll do our best.
It's hard to even keep a straight face at the mention of the word story.
But I just wanted to tell Conor, this is a complete, this is going down a rabbit trail. Last night, Bridget was going to bed, and she goes, I just got to get my jammers on. My pajamas. It's not exactly Cockney rhyming, but it's, jammers on. And I was like,
Bridget, I can't say I'm a fan of that.
I'm not. I don't say jammers either. I don't have jam. But anyway.
She's going to put on her jammers and eat a Sammy.
Oh, boy. As my son said, he worked at a restaurant, and a guy would come in and order, like some distinguished gentleman of the area, and he would order chicken fingers with honey mustard sauce every single day. And they had to pretend, and they'd go like, Did he come in and order chicky tendies with honey mussy? God. It's like the most insanely infantilizing thing they could for this guy. I would like my chicken fingers. Did he get the chicky fingies with the honey mussy? They went
chicken tenders for the district attorney. Serve him up.
Yes. Full Adam Sandler. Anyway, jammers on reminded me that's the slight pun in the name Jammerson from one of your favorite movies, Animal Crackers, the Groucho Marx, the Marx Brothers movie. And we both sat for just a minute and laughed over how hilarious the Jammerson section. And I just thought, I know that Conor will want to laugh along with that.
You
as
could
he's
have dialed
dictating
me
the
in,
letter to Jammerson.
Texted a thinking of you.
Yeah.
Bridget's
just like, that was great. All right, well, we better get to bed. And I'm like, who will really appreciate this?
What is the rundown of the Jammerson scene? Just to refresh my memory,
he asked him to take a letter. The one thing that made Bridget laugh was that he dictates a whole letter to his secretary Jammerson, and then at the end he says, "Read that back to me, Jammerson." And Jammerson goes, "Now you said a lot of things that I didn't think were important at all, so I didn't write them down." So you omitted the body of the letter. There's a bunch of gags in it, but that's the big gag at the end. So.
I can feel the goofy grin spreading across my face as we reminisce about it.
Is it a shit-eating
This will shock you. I have a Marx Brothers reference in the notes today. There was something in this section of Ugly Love that reminded me of, the most famous Marx Brothers thing.
What is happening? All right. I can't wait to get to it. Wow.
The book has reduced my brain cells enough that I'm appreciative of the century-old comedy. Well, I'm glad that you're having a good laugh with Bridget about the jammers.
And we realized, she's like, is it 100 years old yet? I'm not, hey, not yet. It's only 93 years old. Calm down.
Yeah. We have senators that are older than that. Please.
Yeah,
come on.
Please, come on.
Well, so that means it's got to be public domain at this point in time, right? We could serve it up and we could do whatever we want with it.
I would
Right?
think
Steamboat
so.
Willie is that old? I don't. Maybe not. Maybe it's about to be that old. When it does, we'll.
I think the universe will know when it's about to go public domain.
We'll overdub it with our heads jib jab style, and
the Groucho horror movie will immediately.
Oh my God!
Groucho, murders entire camps or whatever he does.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Okay.
You had something, and then we should dig in, right?
I did. Yeah, let's dig in because there's a lot to wrap our heads around
Okay.
here. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of intertextual analysis. I feel like in this section.
Wow,
Again,
you've
hard
used
to say
that
with
word.
this term.
Okay, yes.
This is a email from Jacob, and every now and then we just get an email from someone, commemorating some sort of life event, and we like to acknowledge these because
Sure.
we put these jackals down a difficult path with this swill that they're, like a goose with a. I wish I hadn't done that on camera. A goose with a feeding tube for foie gras.
Yes. Yep.
And
you
it's
dump
good.
the corn into their gullets. Yes. Yes.
That's what we think of them. But then something like this happens, and we have to sort of question. We acknowledge their humanity, but we also sort of question their priorities. This is from Jacob. He says, I don't have much to say about this week's reading other than to say I'm worried about losing brain cells. On April 6th, my wife and I welcomed our daughter into the world. My wife ended up needing a C-section, so we had to stay in the hospital for a few days. Thankfully, my wife's good friend volunteered to watch our house while we were gone. One morning, as I was holding our precious firstborn, I had a moment of sheer panic when I remembered I had left Ugly Love at home. What if my wife's friend saw the book and judged my taste in literature? Would she believe I was reading it ironically? Almost certainly not. Would she wonder if I had finally lost my mind? Would I have to explain the 372 pages lore book by book? Suffice to say, I needn't have worried because it turns out that I had the presence of mind to hide the book before leaving the house at 5 a.m. to get to the hospital. Unfortunately, I hid it so well I've yet to find it since returning home. I now live in constant fear that a future house guest will discover the book wherever I may have left it. This could happen years from now when the book becomes a bad but hopefully distant memory. In the meantime, my wife and baby are both doing well, unaware that I am forced to languish in a prison of dread until this book turns up. So I admire, Jacob's wife looking over at him, him watching him cradle their, the joy of their life, maybe pondering the name or something. And Jacob is like, where the hell did that book go?
I've never known love like this before. Like, this is a new experience. Gosh, is it behind the iron? Where did
Yes.
I would like to congratulate him on coming up with an elaborate story, so elaborate, to just hide the fact that he's reading Ugly Love. Is just like pretending to have a marriage and a wife and a baby. And then it's a long con, and it's good. Yeah, it's like when someone apparently, like, if you're a boss and someone comes in and they tell a lie, like, why are you late? And usually a person just goes like, flat tire, and they sit down like, don't talk to me. But a person's lying when they're like, you wouldn't believe it, like a buffalo ate my the brake line, and then like I had to kill the buffalo, and then this, like, it was so weird, like. All right, you don't need to give me.
Right. Yeah. This is like a sports call-in radio person trying to get their thing on the air, is what you're saying, that he's making up the whole thing. I don't know. I enjoy the idea that the friend would come home and instead of waiting on the porch with, meals prepared and she's tidied up their house or something, she's like standing there like a Larry David foil holding Ugly Love on the porch, waving it at him. What the hell is this, Jacob? You can't raise your daughter in
it. I thought I hid it.
It's for a podcast. Well, now I know you're lying. A podcast, book club, reading this.
What the hell kind of a podcast?
What other books did they read? All I can think of is Super Constitution, Land of the Teen Archaeologist. That's not even on Amazon. I can't find it.
Let me type them in. You say the name and I'll type it in. It reminds me once in the early days of Riff Tracks, like I hadn't, David G. Martin, the CEO of Riff Tracks, and I were just
Ready Player One defender.
Yes, the lover of Ready Player One. We're sort of forming the idea, and I said, well, let's go grab some movies, and I'll screen some with you, and I'll kind of show you what this could be. And we went to a video store in the area, and we bought these videos, and then the clerk was just like staring at us with the dead lidded eyes, as he rings each one up. So you want Face Off and like just the bad movie titles, and we're like, yes, please, can we just have them all? And then I said, just like, because there's nothing else to say, and I'm standing next to a guy I don't know well. I'm like, it's for a thing we're doing. We're kind of watching them ironically. The guy just goes, I don't care, sir. I don't...
No, you don't understand. I'm going to start a business doing this.
I'll never forget that he was just like, please, I hear it all the time. I have a, then you get sweatier and try to make him more convinced, and he's just eats his sandwich
down,
right in front
the next
of
movie
you.
in your stack is Swordfish with Halle Berry, and it's like, well, that's one.
See, the thing is,
the guy's like, it happens at 45 minutes and 29 seconds, sir. That's where you're going to want a fifth.
There's I'll write that down. You can put that right in the case for you. Like, no, seriously, I'm going to do the whole. I'm probably going to trim that point out and put it on A/B repeat. I understand, sir. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Well,
all right,
congratulations
let's get into
to
it.
Jacob and his new daughter.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Of all the books to be reading when that happens, this is quite the section, and we'll get to that when we come to it. But
yes, indeed,
exciting times. And clearly, it's all going to go better than that. I assume that we'll get to it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who isn't reading along.
All right. Do you want to bring them up to date on we're in chapter 16.
My God, we're chapter 16, and this is the middle part of the book. So we're halfway done after this reading.
Yeah.
There is a young nursing student, and named Tate. And she has moved to San Francisco to live with her brother Corbin. The guy across the hall is a mysterious vessel of a guy. He's hot, but he's
mysterious. Is he the undead? Is he a lycanthrope?
No, it's not.
No,
no.
okay. All right.
That would be interesting. That would be character development and intrigue. But he's a pilot, and he doesn't. That's all we know about him.
So he's not like developing a drug that will poison the water system. He's not that.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's he's just he didn't have any curtains.
He doesn't have a twin brother who plays him half the time, and then one of them is sinister and controls the other, or anything like that.
He has a friend named Ian.
Okay.
He's also a pilot. That's Corbin's a pilot. They're all pilots.
Does Ian have some very distinct characteristics? Is he?
He owns a smartphone.
Okay.
Because he sent him a picture one time.
That
and
sounds
he likes
very interesting.
Football. So
okay.
I mean, the rest of it just writes itself. Really, you can fill in the dots. Miles has a mysterious past. Well, it's not mysterious. We're gradually being filled in on it every other chapter.
Yes.
Where a hot babe moves to town, and it turns out that his father is remarrying the hot babe's mom, and they're moving in together. So the love of his life, Rachel, is now living across the hall from him.
Yes.
And they start getting busy. And we are led to believe that something awful or tragic or sad is going to happen between him and Rachel, possibly to Rachel, because in the very first time we meet him, he is absolutely blackout drunk on the ground, like weeping about Rachel and saying, "I'm sorry." And Miles tells Tate, the modern-day nurse, "Don't ask me about my past and don't expect a future." And she says, "That's fine, because you're so hot that all I want to do is, jump you like 24/7. And of course, this doesn't work out for her. She develops feelings for this cipher of a guy. And
absolutely amazing, by the way, that it is written by a woman. Like,
yeah, it's.
I don't want to have. Don't ask me any questions. Don't expect me to stay.
Yeah.
I just want to have really nasty, hot sex with you all the time.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Yeah. And is there anything wrong with you? You're damaged in your past based on that? No, I've got a great home life. I'm getting my master's in nursing, so I'm by all means on the up and up. But sounds good. It reminds me of what I know about the 50 Shades of Grey story, where He just sort of this guy, this chiseled guy makes these demands of this woman, and she just says yes because she's so enthralled with his presence.
Yes. I mostly wear scrubs, so there's pretty easy access to everything. There's not going to be any issues. Great. Okay. You could continue to do that. Oh, I will. All right. Okay. And
that's really the story so far, quote, is that's where we are in their, again, quote, relationship. They have bought curtains together, and we're sort of left to wonder how he's going to get to the point he is now, and then what's going to happen with them. Like we read about the rest of Colleen Hoover's book, she's often criticized for using abusive relationships and such as the reverse saving the cat, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Where this trauma ends up making someone stronger or something. Seems like a crutch, but that's just who knows what's going to happen. We'll see how this one plays out.
She's the best-selling author of all time. Who am I to argue with her?
We'll see if we get to the emails if we have time. But another couple wrote in the display they saw in a local bookstore of just 9 titles lined up in a row, just Hoover by the pound.
Isn't she like you go to look at the top 10 books and she's just like 7 of the top 10 are hers?
Yeah,
it's like a person I've never heard of.
Well, no one's writing in so far to be like, hey, now that I've been familiar with her, I'm going to go back and read all her books. And people did that with The Quilters Push Back, so that should tell you where we are as a series here.
So we pick it up at chapter 16, correct?
Yes.
Which these are the chapters we've had a beef with them the whole time. If you know, this is episode 3 of this for the first 2. We didn't like the fact that these are center-justified chapters, which he lightly said she did because Rachel was the center of his world or something.
Yeah,
it's not
talking
really...
to her was like poetry,
and so poetry is centered? I don't know. Anyway, a lot of hard returns, a lot of centering. Just I think it's to pad out the word count. But this is the kind of stuff you get. Going to school is better now that we go together. And that's after a bunch of, those things. And I was just thinking, like, is it really like stopping to get oil because my car is smoking really badly and goes through 5 quarts of oil a week is better with Rachel?
Yeah. Heading to the can to fire one out after eating a bunch of hot wings is better now that Rachel is
with Rachel.
God, it's... we take 2 weeks between these, so to pick this one up after a week and a half of not reading Ugly Love and then getting hit with the first sentence of everything is better now that I have Rachel, falling asleep is better, knowing Rachel is falling asleep right across the hall it was not a good feeling.
No, it wasn't. I ashamedly had to, I was almost going to text you or IM you that, hey, I don't want to read back. Who's Ian? And then I was like, okay. There really are only 4 characters in this book. Yeah. I should probably be able to keep track of them. But, it's been a while since I've read.
Right. For the cozy mysteries we do that have 117 characters, this one does not really. I like this line. Another thing that's better with Rachel. Simple kisses are better when they're from Rachel because she gives him a quick peck on the lips. But what was his bar there? Is it better than the kisses from his great aunt with the nose hairs? Is it better than a kiss from former Tigers manager Jim Leyland? Because both of those are pretty low bars. I'm not sure what she's really improving on.
They are they 18 or so? Well, it was 6 years ago, and he's 24. So I guess
I believe they are 18, maybe just to get rid of any potential ugliness. They're heading off to college in 3 months, so they're very likely they're seniors in high school, so very likely 18.
And then they decide, well, they're going to skip school, so they're going in his, his Kia, with the head gasket is obviously been compromised, and the smoke is pouring out of it, and the sound is obviously the exhaust system is broken in the middle, and so the sound comes. But whatever. They decide to skip school, and he goes, "I hope we get caught." I tell her, "That means we'd be grounded together." In the same house. My words make Rachel smile. They do? What kind of absolute dumbasses are you? It's fine if one person is a dumbass, but Rachel doesn't go, you know what, just let me out. I know I have to reach inside the door because the handle's gone and I have to hit that little thing. Yeah, you got to reach inside. Careful, it's pretty sharp in there.
Yeah, my dad said he was going to fix that, but he's just too busy making eyes at your mom. They haven't been around a lot lately because all they're doing is checking into hotels. Speaking of a dumbass, so they go to the beach and says Rachel wants to sunbathe while she reads. I want to watch Rachel sunbathe while she reads. I bet you do. And it says, so this is and again, an 18-year-old boy. My eyes follow the smooth curves of her shoulders, the sway in her back, the way her knees are bent. This is what an 18-year-old boy will be sizing up in this situation, I'm guessing. It reminded me of if he went on Family Feud and Steve Harvey was like, you're with your girlfriend sunbathing on the beach now, Miles. What is the body part you're going to look at? Show me knees. And then Steve he says, shoulders. Steve Harvey just looks at the camera like just utterly
full
disgusted.
3 minutes of laughter of him walking around.
Looks like he walked in on an unflushed toilet or something, and he's just like,
how old are you? That was the point where I think we brought it up before, but it's just go dog go at this point. Rachel wants to sunbathe while she reads. I want to watch Rachel sunbathe while she reads.
Yeah.
Oh my God. At least in that one which book was it where Do You Like My Hat was kind of the...
That was Go Dog Go, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that introduced conflict because he didn't like her
at least
hat.
he didn't like the hat. It was like, clearly I don't. Well, this one is just like, everyone likes everything. Like, I can't believe that I'm with you. Sunbathing is better. Well, what if he's just like, do you like to sunbathe? No. I do not. I do. Uh-oh, conflict. Now what's Miles going to do?
Yeah, there's been nothing as far as I could tell. She doesn't object to anything, and they don't mind that they're going to have to move out in 2 months. That's just sort of in the back of their mind.
Well, then we get to the end of the chapter. We get to worldviews and pretty deep stuff. And Miles confesses to her in a whisper, I guess, which I find creepy, but whatever. It doesn't say whether the whisper continues. Let's assume it doesn't. It would be really creepy to do that.
Okay.
But maybe I'll do it anyway.
Yeah, make it creepy.
When I met you, when my mom died, I stopped believing in God. But then I met you, and every single day since then, I've wondered how someone could be so beautiful if there wasn't a God. I've wondered how someone could make me so incredibly happy if God didn't exist. Which I believe is a direct quote from Martin Luther.
Yes, I think that's...
At the Diet of Worms. I believe that's what he said to the Pope.
Why is that guy nailing that stuff at the door, whispering in a really sort of creepy voice about it?
Wow, and her reaction? Of course. You would get up, you'd be like, I'm just going to grab 3 of these waters here, and I will be in the car. And then, like, watch Dilly turns the other way and then run and, like, hail a bus and be out of there.
As you're talking to him, Miles, my knees are down here. Yeah. No, but she's into it. A tear starts falling from her eye with his first thing he says. So never the reaction you're hoping for when you're talking about your deep metaphysics here. But I enjoyed that he's a religious man apparently. You know what I mean? He talks about how God and but he came back, and so as we see him in the future, as he's flying planes and watching Thursday Night Football with Dillon, it's just something to keep in mind because it's reflected in his modern day worldview as well. Yeah,
clearly this is the focus of his life.
His dad's as well.
Again. Yeah,
he brought him up this way. So,
but then the chapter ends with, of course, an ellipses and a centered and a hard return and Miles ... I'm late. And that's the end of the chapter.
Yeah. So we covered that in Fanfic, but it's always good to see to read those sections and see how bad they are, but then see what the context is of all of this, and the fact that they were on the beach skipping school because everything is better with Rachel is always impressive.
I used to not believe in God, but because my mom died, and I'm like, what? So like, a philosophy professor would be like, you have to stop talking now. Stop. You are not allowed to weigh in on this.
Yeah. If he's so good, then why do bad things? All right, settle down.
All right.
Bad things do happen to good people.
This has been covered. But anyway, so then it goes to these are the more conventionally written chapters, chapter 17.
Oh, man. When you talked about how like she's the center of his universe and how that's centered, when something bad happens to Rachel, I'm wondering if that's going to be abandoned. And I almost need to take a walk around the block just to process that at this point in time.
Wait, you think something bad's going to happen to Rachel?
And that's the only thing that's keeping me like going, is that something bad is going to happen to Rachel and therefore to him. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not going to lie. I want bad things to happen to these characters.
I assumed that he would, what is it, like imprint on the baby, or the baby would imprint on him or whatever.
Okay.
He'd fall in love with the baby for some future. I mean, he's got to be. He's not human, right? He's some sort of being.
That would be an amazing, amazing reveal. And baby imprinting, Twilight sort of did that, and I guess people would accuse it of copying Twilight if you did it again.
All you have to do is, like, how many books have we? Model Land is nothing but a copy, right?
True, of Harry Potter. But baby imprinting should have been the big takeaway, not vampires. Yes. Have normal people imprint on babies. Who was it? The werewolf that imprinted? Yeah,
I don't remember.
My God, what a weird thing to have normalized for ourselves. Yeah. Chapter 17 goes back into 6 years into the future. Corbin has invited Tate to dinner with Ian and Miles, the pilot buddies, and they're all going to Jack's.
I would like to keep with tradition. Can we just read the texts in real time? Because this is how the chapter starts. But I think it's important to, like, hopefully they'll ask us when they do the audiobook of this, if it's not done already, that they'll ask us to do the thing. So I'll play Corbin, and you play her. All right, here, Corbin. All right, I'm a pilot. I'm buttoned down. I hang on to an extra room in my apartment in San Francisco for no reason whatsoever. Every time I write the check, I go, what am I doing? Why am I leaving that room empty? I'm not even using it as my office. Anyway, okay, got it. Here we go. Want to grab dinner? What time do you get off work?
10 minutes? Where at?
Type. Dots appearing. We're nearby. We'll just meet out front.
We?
There you go. That's the beginning.
As a flatlining patient is ignored.
That's the beginning of chapter 17. So she's going to go to dinner. A spoiler alert, if you haven't read the chapter. She's going to go to dinner with someone. It turns out to be Ian, Corbin, and Miles. They go to dinner. I hope I didn't spoil anything. That's pretty much the chapter as I understand it. Am I missing anything?
That's pretty much what happens. You do get it. You do get some details though. If you're sort of being like dinner, what might this be like? You get some details that really put you in the mindset of someone who is going to dinner.
Yes. What I like what they call him, because it's a celebratory dinner for Miles, who has made captain. Mm-hmm. I don't think they make that clear right away. They're a little bit coy with it, but they say, but I think this is Miles who says it to him teasingly. But Mr. Sign Me Up for More Hours over here got a nice little promotion today. Broke the company record. So that's something they release freely to other people. For their entire history, they tell you how many people were promoted and what their pay was at certain times.
Sure, yes. We did get a email from Amy, who is a charter pilot, and she quibbles with this. She says the FAA has limits on how many hours a pilot may work in a given year. such as how much flying in 24 hours, how
of
much in a
course.
quarter, how much in a year. So no one is breaking company records for hours worked because you will time out.
Mr. Sign me up for more hours.
Mr. Sign me out for more hours.
How do you think of me as?
Who did not fly over the Thanksgiving long weekend.
That's true.
Because he went down to San Diego to drink orange juice.
So sign you up for more hours, except the busiest weekend of the year? Yes, that's how,
when
that's how I'm
most
going
people
to
don't
make
want. And he demurs. He said, no, it's just a regional airline, no big deal. And I guess that means something to take because her father was a pilot. But
Yes.
But they're still being coy about their relationship or whatever you could call it. They're sort of doing sideways glances and, making like boo faces when Corbin's not looking. He even gives her a little kiss on the cheek when Corbin like goes to the bathroom or something, or when he's talking to the host stand.
Yeah. This is one I want you to just guess on this. I'll read half the sentence and then you can guess. I can tell he's embarrassed that Corbin just called him out, but his modesty is... That's the... Any guesses?
Oh.
Modesty is fake and false. She finds it repulsive.
Admirable. His modesty is apparent.
Well, let me just read on. Just one more thing I find appealing about him. Okay. I thought you were going to go, that's it. False modesty is the end. I hate it. I hate it. I find it appealing.
Yeah, his sort of robotic serial killer eyes I find appealing, but the false modesty is where I'm going to draw the line.
His love of Phil Collins records of Genesis.
He tells her also while Corbin is distracted, he leans in and whispers again. So he's doing a lot of whispering in there, but he whispers. How about this? You guess what the 4 words will be, because she says after he whispers, I want to plaster those 4 words on a billboard and require myself to pass it on my drive to work every day. I would never take another day off work again. What would be something that was so monumental that she might decide to do that, to put it on a billboard?
Okay, I think I've got this.
Okay.
I think I have it. Because they're at Jack's, right?
Yep, Jack's restaurant.
I believe he looked at the appetizers, which are, if you've been to a restaurant, if you haven't been to our place, let me explain what appetizers are.
Sure,
those would be
thank you.
smaller plates. These would be over here, and then I'm pointing with 2 fingers upside down.
We recommend 6 of those per person. They are $15 a piece.
I believe he says, I like cheese curds. And that's the 4 words she can't wait. Is that correct?
It would be a better book if that was the case. That would send it on a whole new path for this back half. But he says, you look pretty, Tate. And so this woman whose self-esteem is, I don't know, possibly lower than the nursing patient in a coma she's taking care of, whose only thoughts are like, that's what she wants to drive by every way, like Tommy Wiseau's billboard.
People are just like, what is that? The cutting of eyes is a thing that's happening now. Did you notice that?
Cutting of eye?
Miles cuts his eyes to mine and smiles, then glances at Corbin.
Oh, God.
It bugged me because it happened earlier, and I just looked it up. Like, he cuts his eyes at me, and it happens like 5 or 6 times. So not that I hoped it would become a thing, but it didn't. It is pretty contained, I think, within the...
Is that? I've never heard that expression outside of Chien Andalou, the Dolly Buñuel film.
Yes,
wow.
My eyes. Thank you, he whispers, still sporting that gorgeous yet somehow modest grin. All right, stop with... like his worst trait. Well, I work harder than everyone else. Like, you can't count that as a negative.
Yeah, I don't know how you describe that other than a smirk. It doesn't sound very appealing.
Yeah.
How about this? She says that she's when he says you look pretty, she demurs and says, "What? I'm wearing Minnie Mouse scrubs." He leans into me again until our shoulders are touching. I've always kind of had a thing for Minnie Mouse, he says quietly.
Boy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. God.
No, seriously, you should see my DeviantArt page. It is. Yeah. I'm unwell.
Then they go to his apartment when he's not there. She opens up the cabinet that she's not supposed to open, and there's like candles and pictures in a shrine to Minnie Mouse.
Yeah. This is Minnie Mouse and Slimer reenacting the ghost pottery scene. They're both pregnant? What is going on? Oh, man. God.
You are weird. I think at that moment she says, I believe it's then, that she says, I raised my shoulder to rub the ear he just whispered his admission into because my entire neck is now covered in chills. Have you ever described, like, how would you describe someone's entire neck? Where does it start? I mean, it's a little, we understand what a neck is, but it's slightly amorphous when someone starts talking about their entire neck.
Yeah, if you
the
say
entire
neck,
from front to back, like does it go down to the shoulder blades, or to the shoulder blades and then to the collarbones? Is that neck? I just want to know what the entire neck is, because I'm supposed to, her entire neck is now covered in chills. I assume it's front and back.
Yeah, your neck is rarely referred to in different areas of your neck, unless maybe you have
maybe in a post-mortem someone goes, I examined the entire neck. There was 3 exit wounds, and otherwise I don't think the term entire neck is used.
Yeah, it is. It's a collective. It's all one thing. I can't think of many other body parts that are that way.
Okay, because a lot of times people will say neck and then they'll leave out parts. So I just appreciated that she took the time to include the entire neck.
Oh. They discuss they give more light ribbing to Miles, because they're like, hey, me and Corbin, says Ian, we actually have sex lives that interfere with working overtime. And she's like, oh, like I've seen all the nights you don't spend in the apartment, Corbin. Ha ha ha. And then they do the whole like, well, Miles, I thought he was gay. They reprise that from Thanksgiving.
Like, oh my God, are we getting all right? Should I just skip the 4 pages now? Happily, it's pretty localized there. It doesn't spread much.
I know. Here's one. This was my boring sentence of the week. Okay. But this is good for people who have not really had the experience of going to a lowbrow-ish kind of fast casual restaurant. The waitress brings us a complimentary basket of bread, but none of us has even opened a menu yet. So she tells us she'll be back to take our order. Really just puts you in the it's like, yes, I've been spirited away to a French bistro or something.
Is that how it works? Now, have you been to our place before? Because if I bring you a basket of bread but you haven't looked at the menus, I'll be back. Like, what? What is this sorcery? And then she says they're grilling him about his possible. They dropped the gay thing, and he says like something like, I don't know, I don't want a relationship or something.
Relationships aren't worth the end result to me, he says.
Okay, woo. And she says, something in my heart cracks, and I start to worry that one of the guys might actually hear it fragmenting over the silence. Really? You're actually worried about that? Are you the kind of person that would describe your entire neck or something? This is bizarre. You don't understand how physiology works, do you?
Something in her heart. It's not her entire heart cracking.
Not her entire. That's true. Something.
Spare us the.
It's the top chambers, I guess. But she actually worries about it.
Yeah, I think she's worried that Ian, who has shown all the sort of sensing and empathy that we know of Ian so far, he might be like, I'm worried. I feel like I've sensed something, that your heart is hurting now, Tate. Oh wait, there's the waitress with the bread. Never mind. God, these butters are always like even at room temperature, they're so hard to spread. If they could just soften it up a bit, it would make it so much easier. I forgot about your heart. I'm sorry.
Could I ask really quick, what's your name? Brandy? Oh, it's cute. You're nice looking. What are you doing late? Well, anyway, the honey butter's really good. How do you make that? We just take honey and we mix it with butter. That's awesome. That's awesome. This is so good. Anyway, your heart was breaking? Was that right?
But it's kind of enemy darkness is, my heart breaking so loud that Gerard Way of MCR can hear it. That's some serious romance writing. What else happens at dinner? No word about what they order or anything, but I guess Miles is not interested in drinking because he's so tired from his long shifts.
And then they start talking about tiredness. Always a great thing in a book. Like, I don't know, I'm just really tired. And I know it's a double entendre. Like, we're going to go and just, like, bone like monkeys. You know, like, okay, fine. Yeah. Gosh, I'm tired. Boy, I sure am tired. I hated that part of it.
Don't you think a pilot is supposed to, like, as you're getting on the plane and they're sort of, they observe you, don't you think maybe there's a little bit of training to be like, this person, like, something's off about this guy. Like, I've got to ask the flight attendant to keep a close eye on him. I'll alert an air marshal. It's probably part of the training. And these guys are just the most absolutely, like, Miles keeps saying he wants to go home and sleep, and he's italicizing sleep. So don't you think there's something weird going on with this guy?
There is.
They're just sort of like, let's get another happy hour's about to end, man. We got to get those drinks in. Where is she?
I think I may have said one time I flew a private plane, and there's a reason. Somebody just picked us up, and we just flew to Madison, so no big deal. But we went to a bar, and the pilots, they're just like, what are you guys doing? Like, well, we're probably going here. Like, do you guys want to come? And they're like, sure. And then, so two guys in like pilot things, and they're just exactly like, a central casting of pilots, are just sitting at your table drinking water. I'll have a little more water, please. You're like, you guys, come on, man, what are you? And they're like, sir, we have to fly your plane, and we have to be back at 400 hours from now. So we were like, okay. It was just funny. And then you go to another place, and you're like, give me the, what does your house drink? You want something? Like, obviously, sir, I can't have anything.
Oh, I would want to just keep asking him to do stuff so they could keep talking in the pilot voice. Do the 400 hours, and we'll be.
Hey, make an announcement to the whole bar. Like, no, sir, I don't actually do that.
But yeah, so no, they're unobservant, even though there's footsie going on under the table. She says her cheeks are on fire, along with several other areas of my body. So I was thinking, bunions maybe are flaring up, maybe some hemorrhoid issues. Her entire neck could be on fire.
Pancreas, lungs, entire neck. We don't know. Body parts.
And here's another one. This comes up later as well. But remember The Martian with Andy Weir? And that was obviously
I remember it, of course.
Well, but remember how when he would write, like, I forget, Jazz was her name, I think. But she's like, I'm just like running in zero gravity, but all I can think about is my boobs and how they're bouncing in the thing. And we're like, that's obviously a 45-year-old a 16-year-old in the body of a 44-year-old man writing. Colleen Hoover doesn't really know how guys talk about football. So she describes, they're being like, what's up with Dillon, that like lecherous blue beer drinking wife cheater?
Yes.
And Corbin says, it's not that we hate him. We just can't stand him. And none of us realized it until after we had already invited him to our game nights. He's a prick. So they're describing getting the boys together to watch football as a game night.
That's what she...
It's very much hello, fellow men, essentially.
Yes.
Not playing Settlers of Catan. They're just watching football.
Game night. Yeah. We don't like that fellow. He's not one of us, that chap. Yep, that rings true to me. Then it goes into, so then they go outside because they have to go sleep.
Not going to be much sleeping, though, if you catch my drift. Oh, wait, I said that out loud in front of her brother.
Of Corbin. Oh, no. So then we get the English patient thing, which was fanfic. But I read that going, sometimes I don't quite remember, and I'm like, this can't be. Did someone insert this as fanfic into my? Which would be that'd be a good trick. You just hack my computer and then insert this, because I'm like, this cannot be real.
Oh yeah,
they both are like, oh yes, of course, the English patient.
The English patient. We're 23. We were born in 1990, so that movie came out when we were probably 4.
Why are you seeing that? Who showed that to you? And you watched the whole thing? I mean, the joke was that most people fell asleep during it, right? It was, yeah, as you said, it was on a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah.
Right?
And, as there's always a film bro part of some guys' lives where they're like, I got to make sure I've seen all the classics, man. Apocalypse Now, Godfather 1 and 2, Dog Day Afternoon. But like The English Patient never entered into that canon. That was not on there with the Gladiator and...
I assume maybe it was in the days, were they old enough? No, they're not young enough to have gotten a VHS in the wrong case, and like they were trying to get the Ninja Turtles, and like, what?
Well,
it's an hour and a half.
Probably came on 2 VHSs like Titanic.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing, a Colleen Hoover thing. She works the English patient subtly into every one of her books. That would make me a fan.
Yeah, and then the people who read her books, normally can just like, she did it again somehow. She got the English Patient in. It's like a Hitchcock thing coming off the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. There he is.
And the English Patient part ended in Real or Fanfic with her saying, Miles smiles, that rhymes. But it did go on and did get substantially worse. It says, I find myself using the lull in the conversation to construct a really bad poem in my head. Miles smiles for no one else. Miles only smiles for me. And he says, why are you grinning? Because I'm reciting embarrassingly third grade level rhymes about you. I feel like third graders have mastered the art of A-B rhyme schemes.
Yeah,
it's quite basic. And she says A, and then literally the same word A, and then B and B don't rhyme.
Yeah.
And
not a good rhyme scheme.
Speaking of things the third grader might have picked up on, I assume this stood out to you. They were doing this in the restaurant, but Miles says, she says, just thinking about how tired I am, looking forward to a really good, I cut my eyes to his.
There we go.
Sleep tonight. He's the one smiling now. I know what you mean. I don't think I've ever been this tired. I might even sleep as soon as we're inside your car. I smile, but bow out of the metaphor-laden conversation.
Wow, it is just heavy. It's just dripping with metaphor.
Laden as hell. They made the same sleep joke they made 5 other times in the restaurant. Metaphor.
By the way, in the middle of that, she pinned her lips together, forcing her smile away. Oh. So there's 2 ways you can stop a smile. I believe one is to mash your lips together. The other is to pin them together. Okay. Either one is, to me, evocative of how you end a smile. But whatever. She's the top-selling author in the world, and I'm a dipshit. So
pinning smiles, cutting eyes.
Cutting eyes, pinning
sewing
smiles.
All of a sudden is the thing to do here.
So they get caught in the rain as they go away because, like, boy, we sure do need to sleep. Miles, you have a visible erection from 100 yards away.
And that is not a metaphor, despite the conversation being made with them. You really do. It's.
So it starts raining, and they just start mashing in the rain. This is just made me laugh, though. His lips are wet from the rain, and they're a little bit cold. But he counterbalances that with the warm caress of his tongue against mine. So counterbalancing. That's what he's doing there. Like, I've got to figure this out. Some way I've got to counterbalance. Let me think. I have an idea.
The Rube Goldberg machine of kissing Miles. He's counterbalancing that with the old man who flips into the bucket.
Yes.
As he's counterbalancing here, this is how she feels. She says, it feels as if my heart and my stomach and my soul are all scrambling to get out of me and into him. Did you eat oysters at dinner? Because you might have been served a bad one if that's how it's feeling. Like, they got to get out one way or another. It's either coming out or going down. I don't know.
He's going to hear my heart crack. I know it. Damn whole neck, entire neck.
And the kissing in the rain might remind some less charitable people of the one scene that we're all familiar with from The Notebook, probably the most popular of this type of movie from the past 20 years. But if you're being uncharitable, I could say that.
I guess if one of them were upside down, there might be another kiss that it would remind you of. But she goes on to say she's really so. Was the Minnie Mouse things was a joke? Is she actually wearing them? Because she's just wet. They're just wet.
Sure, I assumed it was correct. I guess that's a type of scrub.
Okay. But... They don't bring it up again, but she's
okay. Got it.
She gets in the car, and for the first time, I'm relieved to have leather seats in California. It was just a reminder all of a sudden that, wait, you have leather seats? What kind of car is this?
And again, the first time I'm relieved to have leather seats, is the implication that the rest of the times it's been an annoyance because it's hot?
I think that's what it's supposed to imply, but it's San Francisco, famously not all that hot, right?
It warranted a 3 question mark note from me. So
okay.
I'm glad that's what's on her mind, though, as she's doing this. What kind of car is a question that goes through my mind as we enter this next scene, which is Colleen Hoover sex writing. And, my idea was, nursing student, probably got some loans. Again, driving a Honda Civic, some sort of Kia sedan or something. It seems to be the way that like airplanes are in movies, where characters always have this much space above their head, and you could vault over a seat and shoot someone sideways. Because this car they repositioned each other about 5 different times, and I wasn't sure how that was really possible unless it was a Chevy Suburban from the 90s or something.
The exact same thing I thought is like the airplane thing always drives me crazy, because it's like someone using a computer and then it's just a system you've never seen before. Like, we all use computers. Why are you pretending there's something? And then we all fly. Yeah. You can't just like talk to someone across the aisle. It's so loud in the air. Are they just talking? Or there's just like a low drone underneath it. We're flying now. And then people stand up and walk around and talk to other people. Like,
yeah, they do the lean on the seat.
No, I was in a plane a week ago, and you go into the bathroom, you're like, oh God, how am I going to make this work? My head is bashing up against here. I turn to my right, my shoulder hits, like the soap squirts on me. Like, this is awful. I don't get to go talk to someone now. I have to make sure I'm not covered in filth before I leave this bathroom.
And then you get out of the bathroom and 2 Colleen Hoovers are getting out from the one across it. You're like, how did they do that? How did they join them? They don't have soap on. I hope that's soap that's on them. That's
oh dear, yes. I skipped this whole section, to be fair.
Too hot to handle.
Well, look, I'm sitting by myself, hey, Bridge, I'm going to be down here reading Ugly Love. Okay, let me know when you're...
Okay. So there's a lot of, she scoots back to the empty seat. So like the shifter's not getting in the way. I'm not sure like how many empty seats are here. You missed this sentence. I feel ridiculously self-conscious that I'm in my car in the parking lot of my workplace and I'm completely naked. So again, there's the family of the young child who's going through treatment, wheeling them in, and they're like, "Isn't that Nurse Tate completely naked in the Kia Sorento over there?" The whole gist of this thing was that, I guess, if you're trying to innovate on a sexy scene here, is that they were just both seeing who could be the most quiet as they were doing this, and so there was all this tension around that.
Well, why is she in? I thought they went to the restaurant.
They went to the restaurant, but then when they left, because remember the text conversation was, when do you get off work? And she said, 10 minutes.
Oh,
so
she walked. This is right outside the work. That's why she had the scrubs on.
Yes. So they walked there.
So then they walked back to the parking lot of the hospital?
Yes.
And they had sex in the car.
Then they get busy in the car. Yeah, there's lots of... she repositions her knees. She moves to an empty seat. And then here's the thing that reminded me...
Oh, hang on. Now I'm interested.
Now Miles is into it.
Yeah.
This is the part that... this is recalled to mind, what we talked about earlier. It feels as if all our senses have magically melded together, and we're feeling the exact same sensations, making the exact same noises, experiencing the exact same intensity, and sharing the exact same response. So, Marx Brothers mirror scene, right?
Yes. Going from clearly animal crackers to duck soup. I love it. Yeah, you're clearly a fan.
And, this... the Colleen Hoover writing is. I was trying to think about how I would do it. How I would describe it. Not how I would do it, because I do write a lot of erotic romance on the side.
I know. Why do you keep sending it to me? I'm telling you, I'm not reading.
But it's like, I wouldn't want to be like in the car listening to it with my mom. But it's also like vaguely, but it's also vaguely chaste. Like, she doesn't mention, the only thing the only cock you're going to see is his eyebrow type of thing.
Okay.
So like it's weird. It emphasizes this weird space in terms of eroticness that is I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's also just,
it doesn't go as far as the Mister.
I don't think so.
No, that was my, as I just sort of scanned it to, when does this end kind of thing. I realized it's not, the Mister was a little more,
but it's still
explicit in the actual use of the word. Explicit meaning it was a little more. This is a little vaguer.
Yeah. I mean, she always just she alludes to things, so you know what's happening, but it's not like it's not erotic fan fiction. It's not Penthouse Forum, but it still is a impressive thing to be 7 of the top 10 books on the bestsellers list are this is what you're reading it for. I mean, this is the payoff for whatever this nonsense is building to. So that's, if you're reading it, it's because of parts like this, which is just a strange thing to wrap your head around, that this is what's, like we always talk about when we edit out scenes from Riff Tracks movies, and people are like, whoa, you did the movie Jack Frost, but you cut out Shannon Elizabeth 2 seconds for her in the shower. And it's like, there are other places you can go to get this. This is available. It's never been more available. So the fact that you need to buy a $24 hardcover Colleen Hoover paper book is a weird way to get this into your life.
And then if you're reading this, like, then everyone knows, right? Famously, didn't 50 Shades of Grey was always read on readers, Kindle. So that Kindle, so people wouldn't know that you were reading it, right? Like, you can't tell that I'm reading this obviously perverse stuff, and this is like, it has to be, it's book form, right?
Yeah.
I was on an airplane once, and I was reading, a guy sent me, it was turned into a documentary recently, Errol Gardner, is that his name? The guy who does, anyway, Chaos. It's about the CIA trying to give LSD to people to make them turn them into,
is that
killers.
MK Ultra?
Yes, I believe that is. Yes, that is the MK Ultra plot. And anyway, there's a book about it, Chaos, and it's Charles Manson and everything. It's like, wow, it's so detailed. But I was reading it once on a plane, and this guy comes up to me and goes, "You reading Chaos, man?"
Oh God, no, no.
Yes, a friend sent it to me. I don't have to explain myself. I'm just reading. And he's like, "Pretty interesting stuff, right?" I'm only like a quarter of the way through it. I don't know. But I can just imagine if you're reading this on a plane, people would be like, "Did you get to the part where they're in the parking lot of the hospital?
You get to the table scene yet?"
You'd be like, "Oh, yeah, could you keep that on the..." But I guess it's, so she makes it appropriate to just read out in public and, at a pool or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird middle ground area. But that's a challenge for people out there. You see someone reading Ugly Love in the thing. You come up and ask them if you've gotten to the car scene or the table scene and give them a little...
How do you think they made the space work in that car? Huh?
Yeah.
No, seriously, go into detail out loud. You want me to get your bag down from up above you there?
So they do it in the car, then they go home, back to the apartment where they do it again, and they sort of gloss over that, but they imply that they were so hot and bothered that they were pretty much undressing in the hallway, as they burst through the door of her room. He's like, "I think your bra might still be in the hallway. Might want to grab it before Corbin finds it."
Oh, yeah. That is dirty. And then she does this thing that no actual human would do. "I don't feel like going back to the apartment yet. So after retrieving my bra, I walk to the elevators and make my way down to the lobby to see if Cap is still around." No, you don't.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, This is post-coital. I'm still glowing. My neck, my entire neck is still filled with chills. In who do I want to... Cap.
Incontinent 80-year-old man. Looks like you're walking a little funny there, Tate.
And then we have to stop doing these vaudeville routines with Cap. I hate the way that he's used. But she sits next to Cap, who's just apparently
surprised she can even sit down at this point in time.
Sitting in his own puddle. Have you ever been in love, Cap? A slow smile spreads across his face, which is not something I want to see. Oh, yes, he says. Her name was Wanda. How long were you married? He looks at me and cocks an eyebrow.
See?
I ain't never been married, he says. I think Wanda's marriage lasted about 40 years before she passed, though. Like, all right. And then does he honk a horn and, like, pull out a rubber chicken from his...
Right. I went to the barn Wanda lived in, and their father said that you can stay here all night just as long as you don't touch my daughter. Then there were
Does your dog bite? And no, he doesn't. And the dog nearly bit my hand off. That is not my dog. Oh, Cap, I love you.
Yeah. But then, he says that Wanda was married, but like her husband treated her poorly, a bastard of a man. But so he would love her. He loved her for 25 years, for 2 weeks out of every month. And then Cap almost gets to deliver the line of the book. She says, I know what you're thinking. Sounds depressing, more like a tragedy. Well, love isn't always pretty, Tate. Sometimes you spend all your time hoping it'll eventually be something different, something better. So he almost gets to say he came that close to the title line.
I was doing the same thing. I'm like, yes, say it. Say it. Boy, it sure ain't pretty. Love ain't. Yes, yes. Sometimes, yes. And then he never does. Come on.
He's saving it up. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think does he fall asleep? Yeah.
So she cuts her eyes in Cap's direction.
Nice.
His chin has dropped to his chest. His mouth is wide open, and he's sound asleep.
False teeth falling into his lap.
Just a spreading puddle around him, like matching the stain that already existed there. Chapter 18, we're back to a center justified 6 years earlier.
Yes.
What was the theory that 6 years earlier could be 6 years earlier than it just keeps going back?
Keeps going 6 years earlier,
yeah,
yes.
Okay.
It's recursive at Nolan time. I think that was Jay maybe who proposed that last time.
Yes. I like that theory. I kept thinking of that as I'm like, 6 years earlier than what?
Yeah, it would be like a routine. Like they keep their clothes keep advancing 6 years earlier. So by this point in time, they're wearing 70s bell bottoms, I guess, probably.
Right.
They'll have bowler hats on by the time the book ends. All right, what happens in this one?
I mean, it's pretty short. This is he leaves her.
She takes a pregnancy test. Yeah.
Yes, and she's late.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is pregnant, and his heart is crushed. I don't know if you got this from reading this, but he loves Rachel. And things are better when Rachel is there. So now they're at the house. I guess they're 18. And what's his dad's name? I forget his dad's name. I know that he's
mentioned his dad's name.
His future wife is named Lisa.
Yeah, and he loves Lisa so much.
He loves her so much, especially in her red dress. And so she's going to go, oh, my father and Lisa are going to be due home. So he leaves. I'm gone. I leave. Hard return. That's a sentence clearly that stands on its own. I leave. I'm gone most of the day. Oh, continue. No, I'm going to hard return that. Yeah. I'm rectifying.
Okay.
All right. What are you rectifying? Anyway, he pulls in and she won't let him in. So it's been forever that he's been gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, I hate you. Like, oh,
yeah, she does the slap fighting, like.
Which, can I tell a very quick story? One of my dads, this happened to my dad.
Yep. All right. The idea of your dad reading Ugly Love is something we need to explore.
I once tried to get him to read a book. That's a different story. But he was working at a factory, work nights. I worked with him nights at a factory for a little while when I was
That's nice.
like in high school. And he said a guy came up to him. He's like, "Hey, Al, I got to tell you, I need your advice." My wife, she was sitting, this is last night, the night before, like I left, and she was sitting at the kitchen table smoking. And we had this fight, and then she just sat at the table smoking, and I worked, and I drove back. And when I came in, she was at the exact same place that the ashtray was heaped up with cigarette ashes. And she just stopped and looked at him and went, "I hate you." And he's like, "What do you think that means?" do you think I should go back? He was like, "What the?" I don't know, Hank. Let me think about that. Like, okay.
You should lie back on a chair, and I can smoke a pipe like Freud here and analyze what's going on in this in her subconscious.
One of my favorite images, because that's got to be a full 9.5 hours of her just sitting, smoking, thinking about her conclusion. I hate you.
Oh man!
Anyway, that's what Rachel didn't smoke because she's pregnant, but she locked the door and said, like, "I go away. I don't want you anymore. Leave."
I mean, that's a one paragraph Hemingway story that conveys so much more humanity than this entire book possibly has.
Yes.
So she misunderstood his leaving. She thought he had left. He says, "I'm not going anywhere." He says, she says, "I left her. I put her in bed this morning and I left her because I couldn't handle it. I was disappointed in her. But no, I love you, Rachel, more than I love myself." And there was nothing to the reader. There was no confusion about this. We knew that, of course, he wasn't leaving to run out on her and tires squeal and he's in Vegas by the afternoon. I stand up and grab the folders, then spread them out on the bed. I show her everything. I show her the brochures for family housing I picked up from campus. I show her the forms we need to fill out for free campus childcare. I show her the financial aid brochures and the night class. He just went out and picked up every brochure you could possibly have got and how it will coordinate with my flight class schedule. So he went out and just did some planning sessions for her. And
he went to the bursar's office in that little rack that's out front that no one ever touches, that the janitor's like, "Do I really have to dust this?"
Yeah.
And he just like pulled out everything.
Yeah, I got a few too. There's some caverns. They've got some cool stalactites, and this one is hang gliding lessons. We should probably take care of that pretty soon because you can't do that once you're a lot more pregnant. They have this is, I did not know this, but the world's tallest water slide is at the water park, just 45 minutes away. So we can hit that up.
If we get on that now, I think we can do it.
And of course, the family planning, that's important too.
Oh, right. So he's laying that out all on the bed. And by the way, when did she start to think that he's left her? Like, so in other words, like how long did she wait for he was gone, as he says, most of the day?
Well, how far did you get to the pack of cigarettes? I don't know.
That's probably the ashtray.
How you manage it. Rachel, there are 9 cigarette butts in that ashtray. Yeah, I didn't work all the way up to hating you. I was upset.
You left me. So then sorry, I almost read cuts my eyes again. That was the last note from that. "We've got this, Miles," she whispers against my ear. I wonder if that made his entire neck. Oh. I nod and hug her back. "We've got this, Rachel." I mean, they're 18. I'm sure they've got this. I'm sure it's fine.
It tends to work out for people who are, they're probably still serving their suspension from cutting class last week. But
let's look at what's in our plus column. We've got Ian. Oh, hang on. He's not in our plus column. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah. You have not been doing well in class since you transferred, obviously, and that's gonna. It looks like your college admission has been rescinded.
Our grades are bad. We do not have any. We haven't been rewarded anything. No scholarships at all. Oh yeah, we don't got this. I'm sorry I said that. Yeah. I just, when you hug me, I just thought I should hug you back and say it.
I had been banking on my dad's inheritance, but clearly your mom has swooped in, and that's bye-bye for now.
Let me hug you back and just say this. We're ruined, Rachel. Okay.
Great.
That's the end of chapter 18.
Yes.
And
it seems like a good time, I think, to do some real or fanfic.
I still have to do this. Do I have to do this and one more?
One more, because the ending, I mean, people have...
People I'm sure they've stepped it up.
It's been your best one so far, I think, of many of the books we've covered, but let's see if that trend can continue.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so this is Real or Fanfic, this segment where our beloved Patreon jackals submit sections from later in Ugly Love that are real or just fanfic they've written. Whether it's about Minnie Mouse, we don't know. But the Patreon, we did something fun last week. We did a live reading where we did a choose your own adventure book that the people got to vote on in the chat room during the book. It was quite exciting. A very weird book.
It was fun to do live. Yeah, live is fun.
Yeah, it had a lot more going for it than Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. It literally did get metatextual and broke the fourth wall and went in interesting, very weird places. It wasn't good, but
no, certainly more innovative, as the British say. Yes.
Wow, very nice. So these are good. If you want to join in on that, that's patreon.com/372pages. And we'll do another one of those sometime because we have another book called You Are a Shark that we want to read.
Yes.
But so we're going to do 5 of these. And here we go. Number 1. How did I get myself into this mess? I ask, not even needing an answer. I know how I got myself into this mess. I also know how to get out of it. I just don't want to. You ever heard that expression, when life gives you lemons? Make lemonade, I say, finishing his quote. Cap looks at me and shakes his head. That's not how it goes, he says. When life gives you lemons, make sure you knew whose eyes you need to squeeze them in. I laugh, grab another slice of pizza, and wonder how in the hell I ended up with an 80-year-old man as my best friend.
I mean, clearly involving Cap is just like catnip for me.
Where people want to have fun, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's fanfic.
Okay. We did have a fanfic that I'm not using because I thought it was too obvious. That ended with, yes, I confidently responded, I will marry you, Cap. Number two. I take my chocolate chips and my chocolate milk and walk to the kitchen to hide them from the person knocking at the apartment door. I've already known the knock is not Miles because the knock belongs to Chad and Taryn. They're the only friends I've made here, as busy as I am, and they're only my friends because we're in a study group together, which is why I know they're knocking on my door right now. I open it, and it's Chad standing in the doorway, sans Taryn. Where's Taryn? She got called in to cover a shift, he says. She can't make it tonight. I hold the door open further to let him in. As soon as he crosses the threshold, Miles opens his apartment door across the hall. He freezes when our eyes meet. He holds me captive with his stare for several seconds until his gaze slides over my shoulder and lands on Chad.
What? Oh boy, that is okay, that's weird because I want to hear the next sentence. That could be a misdirect.
Taryn is spelled Tarryn.
Okay, I was going to say like Taram Killam from SNL, like a guy?
Or Taryn Manning, who was also in Crossroads with Britney Spears. She was the non-Zoe Saldana friend.
Yeah, come on, guys. We all know
yeah.
who that is. I don't know. I'm going to take a flyer and say that it's real.
Okay.
Because it's so bizarre. So, anyway.
Yeah. Number 3. The shovel hits rock. I keep digging. The desert doesn't care that it's 2 a.m, that the sky is bruised with stars, that there's a body in the trunk. It just waits, I brought her here because I love her. She was born in Arizona. If I'm going to bury her, it has to be here. She deserves at least that much. I open the hatch. Her hair spills out first like it's trying to escape. I lift her slowly, carefully, like she might wake up if I'm gentle enough. She doesn't. She fits in the hole too easily. That feels wrong. I kneel beside her. My hands shake. I press them into the dirt to stop them. This wasn't supposed to happen, I whisper. She doesn't answer. Rachel wanted a quiet life. I think she'd hate this silence, this rental car, this night. But she lied about Clayton, and now I'll never love again.
I don't know Clayton. I don't remember. Damn it. I had to keep track of Ian. I don't know who Clayton is. Well, that doesn't say that he killed her, so
True.
I was going to say that's a good twist. But that he buried her, what do we know about? We don't know much about her. Maybe she fell out.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona is pretty much the only thing.
Yeah, she fell out
And
of that car.
the like of the rain.
They had that terrible car they drove to school in. She probably the door opened up and she fell out and died.
That was your invention, but that's now canon.
That's all I've got to go on. I don't know. I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. Number 4. It's the first time he's ever asked me a semi-personal question. I hate that his question fills me with all these feelings of hope. And all he did was ask me if Tate was a nickname. Tate is my middle name, I say. It was my grandmother's maiden name. What's your first name? Elizabeth. Elizabeth Tate Collins, he says, making love to my name with his voice. My name has never sounded as beautiful as it did just now, coming out of his mouth. That's almost twice as many syllables as my name, he says. That's a lot of syllables.
Wow. I mean, I like the dumbness of it, but I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. Number 5, last one. I wake up to the words, "What the hell, Corbin?" at max volume. I set the Olympic record for the bed to living room dash. Miles and Corbin are in each other's faces, angrier than I've ever seen them. "Hey, you fuck my sister, I fuck yours," Corbin shouts. A beautiful woman emerges from the kitchen. It must be. It has to be. It's her, the famous Rachel. I'm a liquid. I watch myself become a puddle, abandoned and alone until one day I dry up and disappear forever. Then I remember something about liquid. It doesn't always flow. It doesn't always conform. Sometimes it freezes. And that's what I do now. I become ice. "What's this bitch doing here?" I say.
Wow. Ice, freeze, cold.
Liquid, ice.
I mean, I hope it's fanfic. I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. All right. Well, I think pretty good. Number 1 was Cap saying, when you get lemonade, you need to know whose eyes you need to squeeze them in. You said fanfic, but that's real from later in the book. Submitted by Craig. So, 80-year-old man is my best friend. Is an attitude.
No.
0 for 1.
Wow.
Number 2, Chad and Taryn coming over, but it's just Chad, and Miles looks at him askance. You said real, and that is real from later in the book, submitted by Hayden.
Okay.
So the character count does ratchet up by about 50% at some point
good,
in time.
Good.
Maybe Taryn is only off camera. Number 3, so you're 1 for 2, was digging a shallow grave for Rachel in the Arizona desert. You said fanfic. That was fanfic, submitted by Dave.
Okay.
2 for 3. I mean, I don't know. It seemed like too much, but something's going to happen.
Something's going to obviously happen. Again, he didn't kill her. That's what made me waver. Right. I mean, he might kill. I don't know. Yeah.
Number 4 was Elizabeth Tate Collins. That's twice as many syllables as my name. You said fanfic for that, but that unfortunately is real, submitted by Amy. So 2 for 4.
Wow.
Then the last one was I become ice. Liquid doesn't always flow. It doesn't always conform. You said fanfic for that. And that is fanfic, written by Doug. It was didn't seem likely, but
above
then,
the 50-50.
the liquid part of that one was just like, what are you going to, who knows? I think it's incredible. No one has really written in to spoil whatever is going to be the...
I don't know if maybe there isn't one.
That would be...
I mean, Cap is a ghost, right? Cap is not real. This is another dimension. It can't be real. Anyway. Squeeze lemonade in their eyes? What is
Cap?
he? Is he like one of those guys that like you're in a fight with him and he just throws the sand in your eyes and like, that's fully illegal. I'm Cap.
Yeah, there's another one with Cap getting wheeled off in an ambulance. I don't know. It's too much Cap. You can't do it in this. But all right, 3 for 5 is still good. It's better than
all right. Yeah. I just can't believe that Cap's. Oh, come on. All right, that one bugs me.
Someone's got to dispense the sage advice, and
that's terrible advice.
Well, if Cap says ugly love, that will make it all worthwhile.
He's flirting around with it. Chapter 19.
Back to the present day.
Tate.
Game night.
Thursday, game night. Oh, so they play a tabletop game and no. They watch a game on the TV.
Normally the sound of their Thursday night game gets under my skin. It really does sound like she's doing a sports ball kind of thing.
Yes. So she goes in. The usual characters are there, but Dillon is one of them. And Dillon's eyes roam up and down my body, and I do what I can to stop myself from rolling my eyes. But I just thought, like, I don't know. At least Dillon does something in this.
That's
book.
what I said. Yeah,
I don't like him. I don't approve of what he does, but at least Dillon's like, yeah, I'm married. You know, like, hey, I can look up the numbers as long as I don't dial them. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Dillon, you suck. But you know what?
Yeah,
you're kind of fun.
Dillon's the most likely to have a dirty trucker hat, or like, again, don't like him, and he's the only one who picks up on what's going on. Dillon, Tate walks in, and Dillon sort of comes over to the kitchen, and he's doing the hand on the cupboard, sort of pinning her against the wall, but. She turns to face him. His hand has slid to my waist, so he's like touching her because he's trying to get a cup for his beer out of the cupboard. But then Miles comes over and he's sort of looking at Dillon like he's committed murder, and he gives Dillon the like, Dillon, how's your wife? And then Dillon doubles down. He goes, Dillon's still looking at me, staring down at me. She's at work, he says pointedly, for at least 4 more hours. She's just an outright adulterer.
I thought it was funny that like they're trying to do the thing like, how's your wife? Like, look, everyone knows I have a wife. This is not like a secret thing. You're not getting me with this.
Right.
How's your wife? Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I'm the guy who comes in and I'm married. We all know everyone hates her. You guys don't allow her anywhere near me. So obviously I'm the cheater. I'm going to divorce her in like 2 years. We all know this, right?
Yeah.
How's your wife? Like, that's not the sting you think it is.
Got him. Yeah. Well, she ain't here right now. She's not at game night, if you know what I mean. The know what I mean applies to the game night phrase, since I do mean a football game. That's what I mean by
Of course. That's what, when you think game night, that's what.
But Dillon is perceptive because Miles gets up and he's like pushes Dillon away. He sort of like gives him a flinch. And he says, Corbin specifically instructed you to keep your hands off his sister. Show him some fucking respect. And Dillon backs up. He's like, whoa. Sounds like to me this isn't really about Corbin, Dillon says, seething. So he's the only one that even remotely sees what's going on. Corbin doesn't know what's going on. Ian, they didn't pick up on anything at dinner. In the flashbacks, Miles' dad has absolutely no idea what's going on. So
game
Dillon
recognizes game, yeah. Dillon knows.
Got his ear to the street.
I like, Corbin doesn't even flinch. Go home to your wife, Dillon, she says firmly. I just love that, like, how long Did you have one of those friends where it's like a couple years in where you finally go like, yeah, we got to ditch that guy? Like, I guess I've just always known him.
Yep. The guy who, for me, was the one who, despite his wife's fiance's protestations, leaped out of a car I was driving at a stoplight to run to a Pacific Beach head shop to buy nitrous poppers.
Okay, that might be a sign.
That was sort of like, do we need to keep hanging out with him?
Who's friends with this guy?
Yeah, right.
Who's Corbin? Like, I went to school with Corbin. Oh, right. Corbin came along with you, and then like, yeah, okay, guys, that pool. Look, the fence is open. We should go take a dump in that pool. Like, oh, Corbin. Yeah. Who are you actually with? Because we're going to going to this meeting of the barbershop quartet. Like, let's go crap in the pool before we do that. Wow, damn, Corbin.
Yeah, I guess, you know, if they are 24, there's just that time in your life is rapidly approaching, but it might not be there yet. But is Dillon a pilot too? He must be.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're pilots. Ian is not a pilot.
No, Ian's a pilot.
He is a pilot.
They were there at the pilot dinner, so maybe Dillon is just the
okay. They grew up together. Yeah. Okay. Dillon's just some guy they knew. Okay.
The same guy who did that also one time for a lovely woman's birthday party in San Diego. She rented a bus to take everyone to like a vineyard for the wine tasting. Sure. This guy brought a 30-pack of Keystone Light and just kept talking about how it was the best value in the store.
Oh, no. It's good that you still have dirt bags in your life.
Wow, that was 18 years ago.
Well, it's good.
Yeah. So, what's your name? Tate emphasizes, as embarrassing as this is, I don't do anything to step in and defend Dillon because I get the feeling that Miles, I don't know why she would be defending him. I get the feeling that Miles and Corbin have been looking for an excuse to defriend him for a while now. I would also never defend a man who has no respect for his marriage. Thanks for that little factoid there. Is that meant to make you look good? Like he's clearly the sleaziest character in the book.
And then Corbin turns to face me, and he looks so angry. I'm surprised steam isn't coming from his ears. Are you, though? That's the... anyway. His face is red, and he's popping his knuckles. Put a pin in that popping. I forget how insanely protective he is of me. You forgot? That's really only one of, like, 3 things that he does.
Yeah.
He owns an apartment, he flies a plane, and he's protective of you.
And in high school, he threatened to beat a kid up.
Yeah, you wanted to fly. That's really... He's not a complex character, and you forgot.
No, but
I forgot Superman was strong. Yeah, okay, that's kind of one of his things.
I forgot Batman's parents were murdered. Oh, wait, the movie's starting by showing that again. That good. It had been 3 years since the last time I saw that origin story.
Remember when our parents were killed? Yeah,
that's going to come up later.
Wow.
But so he's essentially like Yosemite Sam, being like, "Ooh, I hate that Dillon." And it's like, do you keep your cool like this as you're piloting a plane with 200 souls on it? Is that something that you're able to keep control? Because you have to expect this when Dillon comes by. It seems like that's all he does. But Dillon also said, as he's like going out the door, he's just like, lick me, all of you. But he's like, I live in 1012, and winks. Yes. He says, stop by sometime. She works weeknights. And then he turns the other two and just like gives them the double middle fingers to his buddies.
Dillon. I'm suddenly the biggest fan of Dillon ever.
Yeah. At least he knows who he is.
Go home to your wife. Okay, so Dillon leaves. Mm-hmm. The best character in the book leaves. And then... So Corbin, like, his anger goes down like the Hulk. He turns from the Hulk. But it says this: he inhales a deep breath, pops his jaw, then walks back into the living room.
Oh, man.
What is that?
I feel like that's...
If I asked you to pop your jaw, because earlier his face was red and he was popping his knuckles.
Right.
I think that one is understood, right? We all know.
That sounds like... It sounds like he's sort of like roid raging or like the guy who just did a line of cocaine in the bathroom and it comes out like wanting to fight somebody, like
his face is red. He's popping his knuckles. It seems like something from like Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone or something like.
The jaw thing is that's an interesting one.
Pops his jaw. He didn't snap his teeth like Val Kilmer in Top Gun. He popped his jaw. I don't know what that is. I was thinking about it. I tried. He inhales a deep breath, pops his jaw, then walks back into the living room. I can't do it.
It's a pilot thing.
Okay. All right. Well, anyone at home, do that to your loved one and see if they recognize when you pop your jaw. The list is long of things you have to do to your loved ones.
Yes, this book has really piled them on. People are going to be like Dillon by the end of this, just like I don't care who it is. My husband back home keeps making these ugly love references, so I'm in building 1202. You come by anytime.
Yeah. What time is game night? I'll be there.
When Miles comes over, she notices he smells good, like apples, forbidden fruit. So does Miles smell like apples all the time? Or, like a green apple Jolly Rancher? Is apples an appealing thing? It would throw me for a loop if anyone I encountered smelled like apples.
Also, apples, I think you only notice the smell. I suppose if you inhale an apple, a freshly cut apple, of course, but you kind of only notice when the apples go bad, and then they start to shrink, and they're like, wow. Now
get a little fermented.
That odor, like, that's gross. Also, forbidden fruit, maybe sort of from the Bible, that's debated, but also, you can have apples anytime you want, so it's not forbidden. They're everywhere. You walk into a hotel, there's a giant bowl of apples, so it's not like
right.
Forbidden
Bread delicious, maybe, because they're so bad that you wouldn't.
Oh, the skin when you bite into them.
And he's not forbidden. They got busy in her car.
They've eaten apples already. Yeah.
And here we go. This is one to cue the Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock Psycho string music from, but he's still smiling at me. And I didn't realize how much I missed seeing that smile. He should smile all the time, forever, at me. Ring, 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 ring.
It's that hot new series, Smile, right?
Yeah.
The demon makes people smile at them. And then...
Is that what happens in that? There was a...
Yes.
I have not...
another challenge. We did this the other day. It was unrelated to this because Bridget doesn't know anything about the books that I read. But I said, someone was, I always challenge people to like smile, but do not include your eyes in any way.
Oh, wow.
And I gave them that challenge. And then like, if you do that to people, they cannot do it without cracking up. Some people, if they're really deadpan, can get close and then like, nope, the smile kind of touched your eyes. Oh, your eyes kind of crinkled up and then they'll start laughing, and it's a fun party game. Who can smile without the smile touching their eyes at all? And that's kind of because as soon as you try, like your eyes kind of smile too. So maybe we need to read Model Land again and figure out how to
smize up
do the opposite smize. I guess I don't know.
So then she sort of fakes. They have a plan. They're like, you need to pretend like you're gonna. Upset that you can't study, and so she acts like, I need you to go across the hall if you're going to be watching this loud game. And they're like, well, maybe you should go across the hall to Miles' apartment. And so she's like, jackpot.
So they do a little fake thing, and she goes across the hall. She goes to his place, and then she says this, which he comes in. You didn't get to eat earlier. I'll bring you some pizza. He walks back toward me, and I step aside without responding. He opens the door and disappears. He's so weird. Okay. So weird is a word like 15 years or 20 years ago, random to a teen. Like,
yes,
my mom's just so random. Okay, you don't know what that was. Yeah, it's not really that weird to say, I'm going to go get you some pizza and then leave the room. That's not like... Right. Suddenly he folded in half and turned into a dog. That is weird. No, he left.
He walked out the door on his hands like an acrobat.
That's so weird.
It's like she's she's right, but not about the right thing. Because he just said, "I'll get you some pizza," and not. He refuses to discuss his past and is incredibly distant and borderline psychotic every time he's around me. He's so weird.
Right. His mundane things are weird.
Then he does come back with a pizza, and then when he microwaves it and he starts walking towards her, he's doing that intimidating thing again that makes me naturally back away from him. So just intimidating. My God, I love him more than everything in the universe combined, and I would stop breathing if he stopped acknowledging me. He's weird and distant and intimidating.
And he takes a piece of pizza from across the hall from game night. He gives it to her. I fall into my chair. He's so nice. Is that the bar? Is that all I have to do?
Yeah. We have our 15th anniversary coming up, so
to be considered
my
nice.
Goals. It's
He's so nice.
Again, a seemingly competent and accomplished woman.
I thought it was maybe the pizza was at first I thought, oh, okay, this is like the end of Suspicion, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, right? Where he walks up the stairs with a glass of milk and she's concerned that there might be poison in it.
Oh.
And so there's that famous scene of him walking up and the milk has to stay like kind of lighted the whole way. It's this famous shot, and it's Hitchcockian and the drama, of course. Speaking of the Psycho music, I believe the same musician did it. But no, he just microwaves a slice of pizza and gives it to her.
It's Little Caesars. Sorry, it's it's not the best. But
I guess there's cheese in the crust or something. I don't know. I haven't had one yet because I haven't been hungry because I ate on the plane. All right, see ya.
Yeah, and then if you insert into that his tongue slides between my lips and into my mouth, and I take it very willingly.
I love tasting him. Yeah, it probably tastes like those those biscuit cookies that they give on the plane.
Yeah,
those are kind of sugary, but anyway, I couldn't get them out of my teeth. I tried, but you don't want to be picking your teeth when you're saying goodbye to passengers. Anyway, see ya.
They started serving stroopwafels on our plane, which is kind of exotic. And to me, like, you're my sexy stroopwafel because you like warm up on my coffee. Oh,
You've never had a stroopwafel? Oh, I'd love to set you on some coffee, but I don't know what a stroopwafel is. See ya. Oh, God,
it's a pilot thing. Ask Dillon about it. You got some texts coming up. Would you like to read those?
Yes. Where? Oh, let me go ahead.
Right after the "He's so nice, I could get used to this," I fall into my chair.
Oh, and I get a text, and then I get a text from him?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Do you want me to be Miles or?
Yeah, you can be Miles, and I'll read the next thing because
here we go.
It provides important context.
Yeah, this is in the middle of the thing. How's the homework going?
I'm reading the text on my phone, smiling like an idiot. It will. That's what it's going to take to enjoy this text exchange. An idiot. Good. How's the game going?
Halftime. We're losing.
Bummer.
You knew I didn't have cable.
Question mark? Question mark? Question mark?
Earlier, when you yelled at us, you told us to go to my place to watch the game, but you already knew I didn't have cable. I think Ian's suspicious now.
Oh, no. I didn't think about that.
It's cool. He just giving me looks like he knows something is up. Honestly, I don't care if he knows. He knows everything else about me.
I'm surprised you didn't tell him already. Don't all guys kiss and tell?
Whoa. Not me, Tate.
I guess you're the exception. Now, leave me alone. I just study.
Well, don't come back until I come to tell you that the game is over.
I lay down my phone on the table, unable to wipe the grin from my face. It's not quite but soft through light the winter breaks. It's,
no, it is not.
Oh, man.
It is the sun.
Oh.
Wow.
It doesn't take much.
That is, again, the editor looked at that and was like, I have no notes.
Yeah.
That seems...
And you assume she's scrolling past the pictures of him, like, raising up his shirt in the mirror to show off his six-pack, like, that he sent her the night before. Like, my notes about that part are, he says, halftime, we're losing. So the team that they all support is playing on Thursday Night Football.
Yes.
So it's just a nice coincidence. That happens once a season, maybe.
Right.
And then he thinks she's blown up his ruse because they would all know that she knows that he doesn't have cable, and that Ian is suspicious. But Ian's suspicions are not raised. You would think that Ian might be suspicious based on Dillon saying, "I don't think this is about Corbin," but Ian was oblivious to that.
Yeah, he was sitting there, and also someone saying, like, just go across the hall and watch your stupid game. Like, and Ian's like, wait a minute. You know, Encyclopedia Browning the whole thing. He didn't know. Confronted with this, Ian confessed immediately.
Yeah.
I just assume that everyone has cable or some form of it. Actually, the whole building is wired with cable. It's free, so
yeah, it's one of the perks. It's why that's why he can afford the second house, because he doesn't have to spend money on the cable bill.
Where do you think Cap goes to watch, Skinamax or whatever?
Oh, and then so he does come back over, and she's nervous and happy all at the same time. And then, just more touching her, and it gets into another sex scene very quickly after he comes back.
Yeah, and I skip this. Which is, it makes readings easy because you go like, oh, it's still going on. Okay, page 4, page 5.
So here's what my takeaways are from this one. They mentioned the word nipple, which is the first sexy word I've seen in the entire book.
Yeah.
So his mouth invades her, because he's the invader. Every time his tongue caresses mine, it makes my head spin. I wonder if that will ever get old. Trust me. It says, good Lord, I love his version of kissing. We're aware. It reminded me, do you remember? I think it was Ready Player 2, where they went. I hope you're sitting down. They went to an arcade.
What?
A video arcade, yes.
In Ready Player
remember
2?
They watched him beat every single level of some ninja game.
Yes.
And they commented on every... In this level, there were pink ninjas that show referred to as... and they went level by level. It is like that, but for kissing. In terms of just her describing him kissing and stuff.
I do see this. He presses both palms against the table and lifts his face away from my neck. Well... How much of the neck?
Which part?
Of the neck?
His lips leave my neck. Where?
Insanely vague. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that could be. Jeez. What else?
Well, the only thing I got is, okay, so the doing it is done. I think there's a couple of... It gets pretty explicit. But anyway.
There was one pretty explicit part.
Well, if you want to read it, it's up to
I
you.
don't. No.
Okay. He leaves. He just walks away, and his bedroom door slams shut, and she flinches.
Oh, yep.
Which I guess she's got pizza on her ass cheek, so I suppose that would make you flinch. And she's crying and crying and crying. She can't. This is the end. Her ridiculous tears. She's ruined her. He has ruined her, and so she leaves. Mm-hmm. And that's the end of the chapter. Like him just leaving, I assume, in the middle of everything, and just and slamming the door.
What had happened was they had done it. She went back across the hallway to go home, but Corbin was in the shower, and so she came right back over, and then they did it again on the table. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as they finished that, which was like, she says, animalistic and raw, grunting with every thrust, and I'm making noises I didn't even know I could make. So that's sexy. But then as soon as he's done, he gets up, wordlessly walks away, slams his bedroom door, and she's left on the table crying. So they're not the reaction you want. The tears are falling, and I can't stop them. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I don't have a clue what the hell is wrong with him, but I have too much pride and too little courage to find out. So he's essentially just doing the old, you don't pay the prostitutes for the sex, you pay them to leave afterwards routine with her. And I guess that even though this is according to every term he laid out and everything you expected to happen, she's like, this is taking her aback. And she's like, he's so nice most of the time. Is he? But now he's all of a sudden
microwaved a slice of pizza for me. It's the Bridget and I call it the great guy phenomenon, where we just know a bunch of people like, do you know that guy? Like, yeah, that guy's kind of a dick. Like, oh, really? He's a great guy. Just meaning like, I've just known him forever.
Sure.
And he hasn't currently been arrested for anything that's been credibly proven in court. But it's like, that guy seems like an absolute ass. Oh, he's a great guy. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just use that word. It doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah, so everything's sort of been building to that. I feel like he did the same thing the first time they did it, where he was like, please close the door on your way out or something like that.
Right.
Like,
yes.
I guess he doesn't want me to stay. And so this time he's just being even more explicit, like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, like essentially. And that's, the end of that chapter. She's upset and crying. But, she ran back into his apartment when the thing was done. So she wanted it.
And then we go back to a center justified 6 years earlier, chapter 20. Mercifully very short. In this
they are
one.
very short. I mean,
really a poem. I mean, it reads like a poem. But what does he say? I don't.
He says, "You're getting an Audi."
Is this where she laughs at my silliness? You love me so much, Rachel. I mean, so much mileage, a lot of laughs, despite being an utter, bland, witless dumbass.
Right, and just at a panicked time
funny.
of their life. Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't see what. Oh yeah, you're doing what? This is what got the laugh. You're doing a good job growing him. I'm pretty sure you're going to grow the best baby any woman has ever grown. And she's like, "Do you know how expensive formula is for this? Like, what are you talking about going to school? You you need a job now. You needed a job last week."
We were on it's that kind of thing where like you think that you're funny, but nobody does. Bridget and I were on a plane, and there was two guys like a row behind us that had come on just pig drunk, red faced and like top of their voices, and just everything they said to each other, they would laugh hysterically. Oh. And I was like, oh boy, this is not going to work out well. And she goes, they'll probably calm down. I'm like, that is true. The liquor will probably calm. Like they're so drunk, but it was, things like, yeah, well, when he said like we should do the 6th shot, I was like, we've already done 6. And then like super loud. And I was like, it's a pretty good technique, because it was, unfortunately, we had to take Southwest. So then this is an entirely full flight. Every seat will be taken. So those two guys, I assumed were doing the shtick so that no one would sit next to them. But that turned out not to be the case. And then the guy, sitting next to them, I'm going to sneak in here, guys. Like, nobody can sneak because I just saw you do it, you stupid son of a bitch. I was like, oh, God. So they're not doing it for that. But mercifully, it kind of ended. I think they did sedate themselves into.
Right. Anytime you could hear the tongue moving as they laugh, like,
but the fact that they were thinking it was funny, it just put me in mind of this. Like, she smiles again. Like, that's not a smile thing. You're looking around going, what? You didn't even craft anything. What?
Yeah. I mean, there is no hint that anything is nervous about this whole thing, because he's like, what are we going to name him? I ask her. She's excited when I ask her this. She wants to name her Claire if it's a girl, and they say if it's a boy's name, he can pick, but he's not going to tell her what the name is. I'll tell her the name after it becomes his name after he's born. Dillon. I mean, oh no, that's damn. That came. It started off good, but then 6 years later, we realized it was a huge mistake.
She tells me I'm insane. She says she refuses to give birth to our baby until she knows the name. I laugh. I tell her she has no choice. She tells me I'm crazy. You love that about me, Rachel. That's the end of the chapter. Oof. It seems like, the lady doth protest too much. Like, if you keep saying, you love me. Like, well, I mean, there was a time, I guess. You keep saying it. I don't know. No, you love me, Rachel. Yeah, now I'm a little bit less each time you say it.
In the grocery store. This is Rachel. She loves me. It's like, well, now you just sort of...
Oh, boy. Okay.
You're coming off as insane. Chapter 21 goes back to the present. And the next chapter, the last one, is really where things start to escalate. So what happens in this one?
Well, this is they go to, he asks, I believe there's another text to start the action, correct?
Not in chapter 21.
Oh, what does he do? Does he call her or something? Or says he's going to stop
yes,
by?
You're correct. I'm sorry. It starts off with her doing a lot of woe is me kind of stuff.
Yeah, like, I don't know what that was.
She says, he's obviously clueless how it comes to how a guy should treat a girl, which surprises me because I get these vibes from him that he's really a decent guy. Just based on buying the homeless dude a blanket, that's the only thing that has happened in the book that isn't him, you and him having sex or sort of staring at each other.
Yeah, I had the same great guy note. Like, you can't, like, what are you seeing that makes you attribute this to him?
Yeah.
Would you like a slice of pizza? And then sleep with me and I'm slamming the door. Like, oh, he's such a decent guy.
His actions during and after sex seem to contradict his character. That's 95% of what you've done with him. It's that's the real thing. The rest of it are the outliers. And then she says, if any other man ever treated me like he did, it would be the one and only time. I don't put up with the things I've seen a lot of my friends put up with. Okay, just end that sentence. There's no need for a but. Oh, no. However, I find myself continuing to make excuses for him. So she says, I'm not like those other girls. This time we're talking about being the major exception.
And then he shows up at her door, and this is my favorite. Like, just again, I think we're giving him too much credit. His voice is probably dumber. I'll try.
Okay.
He knocks on her door. She opens it. You want to come? Her reaction is not, what? Get the hell away from me. You didn't even bring pizza, you piece of garbage. Get the hell away from me. No, instead it's, his voice invades me, weakens me, turns me into liquid again.
Oh.
What? Do you want to come? I was going to go by, there's like, I'm going to put a picture hanger, but I need those things that like 3M makes that they stick to your wall, but then you can pull them down because I was told that if I made holes in the wall that I have to fill them, and I don't really do good with filling holes in walls. Do you want to come?
I got one poster where it's Bob Marley exhaling a huge blunt hit, and then I got that other one that's a black and white photo of two girls kissing, so it's like artistic. And yeah, I gotta hang those up because I put so many like pins in them in college that like the corners of them are fraying, so I got to hang them in a frame now so it looks classier.
Right. So do you want to come? Oh, and then Ian gave me the study hard poster of the girl who's like holding a book out, but she's only wearing half a shirt and she's all sweaty. And he framed that for me, so I had to hang that. Do you want to come?
We won it off of Dillon in a poker game. He was really steamed when he lost that poster because he said his wife didn't want it in the house, but like he said that like she can't tell me what to do.
Dillon pulled a gun on me. He didn't shoot me though. He's a cool guy. He's totally great. He did hit Ian on the side of the head with a gun as he left though. But anyway, he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's coming to game night next week. Well, I don't even know like what the voice could sound like if it's not the sort of vocal fry idiot voice, because I don't know who's regarded as having like the sexiest voice in Hollywood or who that would be, but I don't know what this voice could be that does this to her. I guess,
turns her into liquid again.
So I was like, this is ponderous stuff here with the liquid enough. Invade and Liquid both only show up 15 or 16 times. I was really surprised by that. Yeah.
How about Tasting?
A Kiss was in there like 872.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
So she is unable to resist him. They go take the elevator down, and he says he never promised anything other than sex, and that's exactly what he gave me. Sex. Well, yep, we knew what you were getting at before you. But then he slams the emergency stop button, so the elevator stops. So they're having another sort of notebook moment inside the elevator. And she again projects onto his backstory. We know something's happened, but she says something. The same thing I saw in his eyes when he kissed me on Thursday is back. Something unspoken that he wishes he could say, but the only words that come out of his mouth are his apologies. He winces as though he's experiencing actual physical pain, and he presses his forehead to mine. I'm sorry. So, because she likes him, she sees a lot of things in his horrific actions, but Dillon, who does the exact same stuff pretty much, he treats women just as well as just... I'm upfront about it, babe. Yeah. I don't understand what the deal is. You're getting suckered by an idiot. Yeah. So this is my favorite. So then they just get into his car. His car is understated, just like Miles. Okay. So the guy has a piece of trash car, and even that is attributed as a positive in his column. Like there's nothing he could do. Yeah. Wow, so many White Castle bags in back. I love it. I'm turning to liquid again. I bet he buys White Castle and gives it to the homeless guys, too.
And then my favorite thing, she's like driving out of the garage, and dumbass is just like, God, I thought I adjusted my seat earlier, but I guess I didn't because I need to pull it forward like an inch. Is that okay? Where are we going? To the airport, he says. Not for work, though. I go there sometimes to watch the planes take off. Oh, my God.
Turn the car around, Miles. This is...
No, you don't. Oh, I work at Chipotle, but I go there sometimes and watch the guys roll the burritos. Oh, my God. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and so would she have, watching the planes take off? That's so romantic. If he'd been like, the dump, because we can go shoot rats. Tuesday night is rat shoot night, and you're allowed to shoot as many as you want. Usually there's a 3-rat limit. And she's like, oh, the way that he shoots rats to free the world of vermin is such a...
I'm just melting. I'm liquid again, as Miles says. Do you mind? I have to stop at this place. I get 22 long rifles because you want to shoot the rat. You want to make sure you get him in the eye. Oh, keep talking, Miles. Your voice.
I like to shoot the rats in their entire necks. And so the response to that is not turn around, but it's completely quiet again until we reach the airport. So they drive to the San Francisco airport in silence.
In complete silence. In a shitty car that she's like, this is so luxurious. Is this vinyl? I think it's polychloride vinyl. I don't know, but I don't know.
I noticed you still have the actual handles to roll down your windows. I didn't think they had made those since like 2006. Yeah, it's understated, babe.
They just didn't. Like me. I had to special order it.
Yeah. Save $200 not getting the automatic ones, and it's really inconvenient.
My uncle told me you shouldn't get anything electric powered because then eventually it'll wear out, but handles don't actually wear out. What year did he tell you that in 1977?
There's a doorstop propping open a window that the mechanism had disengaged and it was sliding down on its own, just like Miles. That's ingenious, just like Miles. God. I also wanted to point out that when he did pull the emergency lever in the elevator, it says he apologizes, and it says he presses my face into his chest. We stand like this for several minutes. So wow, the Ready Player One hall walking scene as everyone else is downstairs being like, where the hell is the elevator? Cap, what did you do? So they do that, then they drive to the airport in silence. They're just a great relationship. You just don't talk to each other, and you make each other cry.
Cap, really? Like the elevator, I can see it.
I'm pressing the damn button.
lemon squirts right in their eye. Ha ha! Eat that, sucker! What? I pay money for you to be my concierge. What are you doing?
Change my diaper now.
Do it. Why do you have your legs up already? Oh, God, I'm not changing you.
You brought baby powder? Come on, Cap.
Talc it. Talc it.
I want three squirts of it. Yeah. Lift and talc. Lift and talc.
First the lift. There you go. Now the talc.
Oh.
Cap. All right, so they go to the airport, and then they have just one of the dumbest. I mean, it's not even worth. You should read along just to see how dumb things can get. But he kind of breaks up with her, I guess. Like, this isn't working out, I guess, or whatever.
Well, he sort of says, don't think for a second that my issues are because of anything you do or don't do. And she says, I have no idea what he suffered through in the past, but it must have been pretty damn difficult if he can't move on after 6 years. I agree. I think it is. It's pretty annoying.
Yes.
Whatever happened. And then he brings up, he's like, I gave you these conditions and you're not doing either of them. And she says, I know how good our good moments are. And I know how easily the bad moments would go away if he just stopped trying to fight this. What good moments? Again, you bought curtains. The rest have been the weird sexual dynamics that made you cry earlier in the week.
Doesn't seem like it's adding much to your life. It seems an easy choice. But she says, I kind of want him to stop talking now because everything he says is just causing me more pain and making me even more confused. Yeah, that's my general review of Miles as well. I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah, or ugly love just in general. I mean, It's confusing and making me sad.
Sad and confused. That's why, yep.
But she essentially says, look, I know you want me for more than just sex, so you can either admit that or I'm done. And he doesn't admit it, so he just takes her home in silence again. And she goes and cries on the arm of Cap, of course.
Oh, God.
Which is where the interrupting cow joke is.
Yeah,
how
the realer
chapter ends.
fanfic here. But he's handing her tissues.
Yeah.
Which I was like, do you want to check to see whether those are fresh tissues from Cap or
part of my collection?
Yeah, I store them in a box. Why get rid of them? They're not single use. It doesn't say that anywhere on the box.
Oh, you grew up like I did, surviving the Depression. You don't throw anything away, even used tissues.
This corner of it was used, but this one's still good. Oh,
now, whatever was on there might cause your eye to crushed up a bit, but you come see me something to do. I got an inguent for that, too. I can treat that if your eyes do start crusting up.
Oh, Cap, you're my best friend. Oh, let me squirt some lemon in your eyes, sweetheart.
He says, if that boy can't see what a good thing he could have with you, then he ain't worth your time. I nod, agreeing with him. I do have a lot more important things to do with my time. You do? What on earth what have you been doing? You're not volunteering, like treating, teaching people Narcan use or anything. All you're doing is sitting there waiting for him to text you and then flocking to his door as soon as he does.
Someone in the emergency room who's bleeding out from they nicked their femoral artery in an accident is like, wow, oh, if she could only be here and stitch me up. Like, I am sitting with Cap right now, and he is handing me tissues. I will get to you when I get to you.
God. I see that her car is here in the parking lot. Why is she not? Oh, my God, she's in the car.
She's in the car. It's so steamy.
But, yeah, it drives home just, how little they've even attempted to get you to know about these people. All you know about Miles is that he watches football with the boys. And her, I really don't think you've, someone mentioned that, she had the birthmark on her neck and that they did say that's never mentioned again, but that's what we know about her.
That's enough for me. I mean, in this book.
Yeah.
We end with chapter 22, I think,
yes.
Unless you have anything more for...
Nope, chapter 22, and that's sort of... at least something happens in this one.
Oh, you think something happens? I'm eager to hear what that would be. I'm trying to look ahead.
Okay. Well, chapter. So it's the flashback.
Oh yes. Okay. I guess something kind of does happen.
Yeah.
That's true.
He comes out. He gets Rachel, who he's now calling his everything. He comes outside, and his dad reveals that he asked Lisa to marry him. I sort of thought this had already happened for some reason because
they said they were going to get married. I do think it's funny that this is the Miles about his dad. He thinks about Lisa again, and he's not curious anymore. His everything is Lisa. Well, I mean, the apple didn't fall far from the tree there, right? He can't be like surprised. Yes. It's so weird. My dad is obsessed over this one woman. Like he keeps talking about her and repeating her name.
Like that anti-drug PSA from the 80s that I learned it from watching you, Dad. I learned it from watching you. But he says they didn't just get engaged. They went to Vegas and got married already.
Yes.
Lisa's wearing her ring. She's flashing it, and they're gasping because they're already married.
And then the news. Dad, I say... Oh, do you have something before that?
No, go ahead. The dad says, I didn't think either of you would mind. You're both leaving for college in a couple months. So he's like, hey, come to think of it, it was weird to move here and do this since you're all in such a weird transient state of your life. But
and you keep saying my sister. Anyway, Dad, we'll get to that. You concentrate on Lisa, your future wife. Well, your current wife.
Yeah.
Dad, I say, keeping an arm around Rachel. Lisa, Dad, Lisa. I look at both of them. I ruin their day. Hard return. Ruin in italics. Hard return. Rachel is pregnant. Hard return. Silence. Period. Hard return. Silence. Period. Hard return. Silence. Period. All caps. Deafening silence. Period. I couldn't be more angry at that collection of words. I don't know how I could be.
If she thought she was writing bad poems earlier when she was doing Miles Smiles rhymes, this is the author is not acknowledging how much this looks like a bad poem you'd see like screenshotted on an Instagram post or something.
Oof, that is bad.
But then this made me laugh because the dad really does the bad movie or sitcom dad setting himself up. He's really just like putting it on a tee for them right now. Who's responsible? He yells. Tell me who he is, Miles. What kind of guy knocks up a girl and doesn't have the balls to be with her when she tells her own mother? What kind of guy would let a girl's brother be the one to make the news? And so he goes, I'm not her brother, I say to my father.
I thought that was a fair point. Like, yeah, I'm not her brother.
Yeah.
Yes, we all understand. You are 18 years old. You're fully an adult. My dad got remarried. I'm not your brother. Do we not understand this?
Yeah, it just is essentially to make the scene even more awkward, I guess, when the inevitable things come out. Even though the dad is so clueless that he's not picking up on his fact that his arm's around her, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like setting up the what?
He confesses. He says, I'm the one. I'm the baby daddy. His dad's expression changes from confusion to anger. He looks at me like I'm not even his son. He's looking at me like I'm the guy who knocked up his new stepdaughter.
His new stepdaughter?
This is,
once again, seen her. You were away in Vegas getting married. Who thinks about their stepdaughter?
Yeah, you didn't care enough to involve them. You got a shitty Elvis impersonator to officiate. Like, This is not a girl you're attached to at all here.
Lisa's like, I really think we should wait. I think my daughter would. Who's that now?
Yeah, I think Rachel would want to hear. Rachel, let's.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then it gets.
Yeah, we should tell Raquel. That'd be great.
No, it's never mind. Then this is his prose. He hates me. He hates me. He really hates me. Get out of this house. I look at Rachel. She grabs my hand, and shakes his head silently, pleading for me not to leave. Get out, he says. He hates me. I mean, he should get a jersey in the XFL, right? Pretty clearly that says He hate me.
Wow, yeah, that's you might as well change his name to Rod Smart.
Oh, that's the only thing I know about that. I just assume that's the only thing most people know about the XFL.
100%. They got rid of the fair catch, and they had a guy named He Hate Me, and no one knew what it meant, and he sort of refused to elaborate. Maybe that's the game they're watching. Maybe these guys are big Thursday night XFL fans.
That could be. It was 6 years earlier. When was the XFL?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, that was like 1999, 2000.
Yeah.
So his father physically pushes him out of the door because he's so upset because he hates him. And then she says, I love you. Oh, no, he says, I love you too, Rachel. Those words are obviously too much for my father because his fist immediately comes at me. He pulls his hand back and looks almost as shocked as I do that he just punched me. So his father shoves him out the door, punches his own son, and his lip is bleeding.
I thought that was a weird. I had to read that twice because, like, that's such passive language. He looks surprised that he just punched me. The way you're writing, why don't you just have, then my father punched me? Then you just go, okay.
The reader was surprised too because you said his fist comes at me, so thought he was doing the, and then stops.
Oh,
get out of my house! But no, he physically punched him, and then he goes to his car. But then he decides to do the honorable thing and comes back and he says, we love each other. We're going to raise this baby. We're going to take care of it. This started before I met you. And his dad is, this entire time? This has been going on the entire time she's lived here? Yes, you blind old bat. Like, how oblivious can a person be?
You weren't here. Also, you're not retired yet. So most days you're gone. Yeah. And then you flew to Vegas and you didn't even tell us. Like, of course.
Yeah, they went to Vegas that weekend. They were also out of town the weekend that they, were playing house, and she got, they did it in the shower. So, yeah, they've just been, I don't know, 18's a hard time going off to college, but I think you got these kids.
And then the chapter ends with this. She laughs with her cry. She tells me the hard part isn't over yet. She tells me the hard part is getting him out. I laugh. I love you so much, Rachel. I love you so much, Miles, she whispers. Oh, my God. That can't be the end of the chapter.
Yeah, I'm ready for the tragedy. Bring it on.
Yeah. What could you do to these people? Like, and then Miles was pulled apart in 4 pieces by 4 tractors pulling him in all different directions. Like, yeah, that's too bad. That seems about what he deserves.
Is it going to end too quickly for him? As would be my concern there.
Then, as he was being pulled apart, they sprinkled vinegar over the wounds that were appearing on his body. Yeah, that's boy, that's too bad.
I think they need to wind up in some sort of Saw basement. Where, like, I've hidden the key inside your wife's leg. You must saw it off of there in order to escape, and that's the only way to survive her. So he's sawing. I love you so much, Rachel. Like, I love you, Miles. Like,
cut out the key, Miles. I'm doing it. I love you.
Name the baby Dillon.
Already done. What? I mean, I assumed.
Oh.
Wow, that is oof. That is rough stuff.
It's been 3/5 of the book. We don't know what's going to happen to Rachel. We know that they have a son and he has big balls, so something happens there. So,
but nothing supernatural yet, or nothing even like. Again, what is the hook? When is something going to happen?
Yeah, it's the old joke about Stephen King just looking around the room to find out what to write his next book about. But like this was just not even looking around.
Evil paperclip.
Do people love each other? I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. My stepdaughter. Like now you're just making up stuff. You met this woman like 3 weeks ago and married her in Vegas.
How dare you get my stepdaughter Monica pregnant? Nope, it's another one of the cast of Friends, Dad. Oh yeah, right. Monica got my engine revving. That's for sure. No one seems to have a different opinion than us. No one is right. No one has been writing in to defend Colleen Hoover. But
okay,
yeah. So
if there are any, I mean, we'd love to talk to you if you are a defender.
Sure. Oh.
But didn't we learn that we're, again, as with most books, we're not the target audience for this, I assume.
I think that is quite clear, but it does just make you, it's something you could imagine someone you know maybe reading, a beach read or something like that. Just like, oh, I heard good things about this Colleen Hoover. I know some people who could be in that demographic, I suppose, but I still would question them. I would just wonder what they were getting out of it.
I mean, if someone told you, what's the big, the K-pop group, boy band
BTS.
group? Yeah. Someone told you, yeah, well, they're the top 7 hits of the, you wouldn't go, well, I am going to buy all of their stuff and sit down.
Sure.
You know, I'm on the wrong side of history on this one. You are correct. This is good stuff. So,
right.
I mean, that doesn't, so what? She's popular. But.
Well, it's important to learn what's going on, because it's there's some trends we're not going to wade into, but I'm glad we've chosen to familiarize ourselves and our listeners with this world, so that they, the next trip to the airport can be more eventful if they do see someone reading.
I can't wait to find out where it's going. You're right. I mean, who knows? And It could go any direction. Do his big balls play a part of it? I don't know. They might. It's the only thing we know about the future.
All right. Well, let's finish him off with some dumb sentences.
Dumb, 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 dumb sentence of the week.
All right. We did get a lot of good emails this week, but we don't have really time for them, so we'll do a separate email episode.
Yeah.
But we did get a lot of dumb sentences from people.
Sure.
Believe it or not. Again, from many of our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/372 pages. The first one, Jay thought that the plastering the 4 words on the billboard and requiring myself to pass it on my drive to work every day was the dumbest sentence of the week. Mm-hmm. Amy's was broke the company record in terms of flight hours, and that's when she qualified that it would be hard to do that because of FAA regulations. Katie submitted, his hands are warm, and it makes me want him to hold my entire body in them, but it scares me how much I want that. And she said she recently watched the Nosferatu movie, and there's a scene where the shadow of a humongous hand is creeping over the houses, and that scene came unbidden into my head when I read this sentence. I pictured Tate in her scrubs being held in a pair of giant hands large enough to accommodate an entire body. Again, get a vampire into this book. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
Nathan submitted, this is when they were making out in the car by the rain, there's nothing in the world that compares to the feel and smell of brand new rain. And he said, no one loves the old rain smell. That's just not fresh enough. Brian submitted, then I yell at him. He flagged it because then is dumb italics. Just the word then. Jacob submitted, I'd never had sex as a captain before. Skylar submitted, I feel ridiculously self-conscious that I'm in my car in the parking lot of my workplace and I'm completely naked. And Skylar said, this seems to me like a perfectly reasonable time and place to be feeling self-conscious. If not while naked in the car in the parking lot of one's workplace, when should one feel self-conscious? Janelle submitted, it's raining too hard for anyone to hear us. And it's the same thing in the car of their workplace. And she pointed out that it would not be super subtle with the car bouncing around in a near empty hospital parking lot. Mike submitted, I don't know how long they've been friends, but I like Ian. And Mike submitted, why would his friendship's length be the determining factor in her opinion of Ian?
I noted that too.
Amanda submitted, this is when they went to dinner at Jack's. All the letters on the menu begin to blur as my mind replaces them with words like ending and dry spell and rest. And Amanda said, we don't have any indication what type of restaurant they went to other than the fact that it sells sodas and beer. But based on the name Jack's, I think it's fair to assume it was an Applebee's, TGI Fridays kind of place. So perhaps these are the tantalizing items she has to choose from on the menu. Boneless dry spell with ending dip. Crispy rest bites. Mushroom Swiss dry spell. Bacon rest grilled ending sandwich.
Hopefully there was a dipping salad there as well.
We did get an email about the quilters but we'll save that for the email one.
Okay.
Someone welt on what they believe to be a quilting cruise where there was a crime for them to solve.
Ooh,
So
okay.
tune into the mailbag if you want to. Yeah, lots of funny T-shirts too. Braden submitted, there are restricted access signs, but he passes them like he knows exactly where he's going. That's as he's driving her to the airport. He says, besides the fact that as a pilot, he would be driving to the airport quite a bit. Just 3 sentences earlier, he said he goes there sometimes to watch planes take off, so I imagine he would know where he was going. Mark submitted, I've always had kind of a thing for Minnie Mouse. And he's added that would make a good, said the robot pimp disdainfully line. Craig submitted, Miles doesn't do anything because Miles isn't here. And he said, the best part of Ugly Love are the sentences Colleen Hoover keeps inserting that do absolutely nothing to advance the story or set the stage for anything that might advance the story. What else won't Miles do because he's not there? If you're,
we didn't cover that one. That was going to be my dumb sentence. But,
oh, wow.
Because of that. Like, I hate that kind of thing that she does. Like, yeah, just wasting our time with it's just obviously supposed to be a rhetorical device. Like, Miles doesn't do anything because Miles isn't here. Like, you're the author. Like, you can move people in and out as you need. But then actually Miles is there, but never mind.
If you're going to start penalizing her for sentences that do nothing to advance the story,
Yeah.
we're going to be down to a NaNoWriMo type of book here at this point in time. Which maybe this was. Who knows? This could have been banged out in a month. Jeffrey and Chris P. submitted my boring sentence. The waitress brings us a complimentary basket of bread, but none of us have even opened our menus yet, so she tells us she'll be back to take our order. My main note with that one was, if you're a restaurant that calls bringing complimentary bread to your office bread service, you can go straight to hell. Especially if it's like $5 due for the bread service. Jim submitted, since when do you drink beer from a cup? Miles says. That was to Dillon. He says, new challenge, order a cup of beer at a bar. Jeremy submitted, if all my 23 years were laid on a graph, this moment would be the crest in my bell curve. I don't remember what moment it is, but Jeremy points out that bell curves don't have their highest point on one end. That definitely makes something not a bell curve. Beth submitted, it feels as if my heart and my stomach and my soul are all scrambling to get out of me and into him. Hayden submitted, I just want to kiss you for a few minutes, okay? And Hayden said, my wife, who doesn't listen to the podcast or read the books, fell over laughing at this. It's definitely a try it on your spouse line. And Bart submitted, remember when we were kids and Mom and Dad took us to La Caprese? Corbin asks. And Bart says, this is a head scratcher because La Caprese is an Italian salad, right? It's like naming your Mexican restaurant El Burrito. Plus, it seems Coho had Mortal Kombat in the background when she was writing this dialogue. Remember when our parents died? Dude, yeah, I guess you could remember the time your parents took you to a specific restaurant, but mine, well, I had nothing that compares to Brand New Rain. So I had, he's still not touching me, but he's invading again.
Tasting, invading, touching, kissing,
liquefying.
Mine is, it's just a missed note, so please don't, it's not a dumb sentence, but I'm one of the hosts, so I get to do this. We walk in silence, and I can't help but notice that his hands are shoved firmly into his jacket pockets, as if he's protecting me from them. Or maybe he's protecting them from me. Wow, wait, what? What? Wait, is it the same? He's protecting, no, with them, me from them, or maybe he's, anyway, it's just like, I know that's meant to be like a dun dun dun, but it's actually like a,
the who's?
Huh?
We're protecting who from the what now?
Who's doing what to whom? What?
It's also very standard Tate projection where he's just like walking with his hands in his pockets because he's dull and isn't like, and then she's like, oh, he must be.
It's San Francisco, so it's like 57 degrees.
Oh.
And I put my hands in my pockets, which actually, like, I've looked at it once with a scanner, and it warms them up to 67 degrees, which is actually still pretty cool, but that's why I do it. Oh my God, are you protecting me? No, like I just said, I'm just trying to keep my hands warm.
Yeah. What you see is really what you get here, Tate. So you got to stop. You got to knock this off.
Yeah, you can't keep pretending.
Wow. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
all right.
let's get some tragedy here in the next. Let's get someone tied up to a chair, or like just a home invader that.
You want some 007 genital torture, don't you?
Yeah.
Just
come
admit
on.
it.
Yeah. The dad to his own son, LaSchiff style. That'd be funny. Again, as we talk about things that would redeem the book entirely in the by doing that, it's going to take something like this at this point in time to if she rope-a-doped us in with that, and then the next one ends with his dad whacking the son in the crotch with a knotted rope. I would.
It'll all have been worth. Well, it won't
it's specific,
all have been
but
worth
yeah,
it,
it'll redeem it.
Some of it will be. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. We'll get 2 more of these, so we'll see what happens.